Man, Halloween came early for the Yankees, didn't it? It's scary in the Bronx. Let me tell you, I just checked into the Yankee game to see where they are. Game 3 of the World Series. Not going too well. Not going too well for the boys in pinstripes. Halloween has come early to New York. Well, we got our Halloween graphics. We got our Halloween gear. I don't know. It was a little scary on Raw tonight. You had a very lethargic crowd for a very lethargic show. This was not a very exciting episode, although there were a few things that I liked. But I think as the final Raw before Crown Jewel, which is coming up this Saturday in Riyadh, so you can call it a go-home show, in that sense, it was pretty bad. Because if you look at the card that we have on tap for Crown Jewel, really, up and down this Raw card here, for the 6 matches that have already been announced, and that may not be all of them, exactly 1 was actively promoted with a live segment on the show tonight. We had a vignette, a tape promo from Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion. He was talking about Cody Rhodes, but, we got the money segment with him and Cody on SmackDown on Friday last week, so not much going on as far as the hype for Crown Jewel. This is part of the problem when you do brand warfare and you don't have access to everybody that you need to have access to. I mean, there's some brand crossover going on, but a lot of the brand crossover that we've seen, I mean, we had it tonight with Jey Uso on the show, has nothing to do with Crown Jewel. Although, again, that may be something that's announced on Friday. The Bloodline stuff was actually the most interesting part of the show tonight. And there were a series of segments. We had Jey Uso, who lost the Intercontinental Championship on the show last week to Bron Breakker. Funny enough, we did not actually have the Intercontinental Champion on the show tonight. So the loser, the former champion, Jey Uso, was all over the show, and the new champion, Bron Breakker, was nowhere to be found. Oddly enough. Jey Uso was there too, who isn't even a part of the Raw roster, but there he was. And Sami Zayn was back. We haven't seen Sami in a few weeks. I don't think we've seen him since he lost to Gunther when they had their match for the World Heavyweight title. And Sami Zayn ended up being a part of the most interesting of all of the Bloodline segments that we had on the show tonight. It was an interesting development involving Sami that I was not expecting. And people have already figured out, I think, in their minds, where this is going as far as Survivor Series and as far as War Games is concerned. Roman, Jimmy, Jay, they're down 1. You figure Sami Zayn was going to be involved in some way. And I think WWE knows that too. That most people had a sense of where things were headed. So why not muddy the waters a little bit? Why not make things a little more interesting by throwing a little wrinkle into the story? And that's what we had tonight when we saw Sami Zayn conversing outside the building in the parking lot with Solo Sikoa. What's that about? What were they talking about? Who initiated the conversation? Where is this going to lead? I've got some thoughts on that. I'm sure everybody's going to have some thoughts on that. It makes things more interesting heading into Survivor Series. Survivor Series is still a month away. There has to be a story that plays out in order for us to get to where we are going. This is part of that story, and I like that. I'm intrigued. They have my interest. So we'll see where that story goes. Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. They are in one of the matches on Crown Jewel this Saturday, at least as of this moment, because based on what they did tonight, we had another pull-apart brawl between them. These guys were beating each other all straight to hell in the parking lot. And it did not end well for Seth Rollins. In fact, Seth Rollins, we were told, was taken to a local medical center for evaluation. His back was bothering him. And that was the last update that we had on him here on this show. And it makes me wonder if they might possibly be setting up to pull that match from the show on Saturday to prolong this a little bit. And we might not actually see the match at Crown Jewel. Or are they just setting up a situation where Bronson Reed now has a reason to go over on Seth Rollins when and if he beats him at Crown Jewel? But I'm sitting here wondering if they're even going to have the match now after what they did tonight. Or if they may work an injury angle with Seth to keep him out for a few more weeks. We also have new number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. Who will challenge Finn Balor and JD McDonough for the World Tag Team Championships? We now have our answer, and it was not the team that I was expecting. In fact, of the 3 teams in this triple threat match, if I had to rank them in the order in which I thought they were likeliest to win, they would have come in dead last. And that was the team that went over in the match tonight. And those really were the big developments on the show. Not a whole lot else going on. There was other story progression, which we'll get into, but I mean, as far as anything major, anything significant, that pretty much covered it all. We're going to go through the entire show here. This is your Monday Night Raw review for October 28th, 2024. I am the Solomonster. It is Halloween week, everybody, my favorite holiday of the year. I did love the sign in the crowd tonight. There was one person in the crowd with a sign that said, "Gunther hands out floss for Halloween." He does strike me as the kind of person who would probably do that, unlike me, where I just turn out all the lights and pretend I'm not home and I don't have to answer the door. That's my Halloween tradition. I don't want to be bothered, so I pretend like I'm not home. Although, honestly, we don't really get that many people, around here ringing doorbells, at least not my doorbell as much, which is fine with me. But yeah, I will be hiding out if that happens this week. And in the spirit, I have to show all of you this, because I'm sure some of you may have seen it already anyway. But for those of you who did not, I just had to show you. In the spirit of Halloween, I would like to unveil to you the new statue that has been dedicated to one Dwayne Wade of the NBA. There he is, everybody. There's the new statue. There's Dwayne Wade. Doesn't it bear such a striking resemblance to him? Now, I want you to take a look at this image that I'm about to show you. This is the actual statue that was unveiled this week in honor of Dwayne Wade. Okay. Now, if you know who Dwayne Wade is and you know what Dwayne Wade looks like, okay, I want you to look at that, and I want you to look at this and tell me that they don't look nearly the same, okay? There really isn't that much of a difference between these two. I saw this, I fucking died when I saw this image. Somebody put this up and said, "Hey, this looks like Dwayne Wade." And I said, you know what? You're not that far off. And I'm just sitting here and I'm wondering, why does he look like Dwayne Wade 30 years from now? Like, when you go through the process of putting this statue together and you look at it, it's not even complete. You look at it. How does nobody look at this and go, you know what? We're way off on this. Somewhere we took a wrong turn to Albuquerque here, and this is not in fact the person that we are supposed to be replicating here. I don't know what else to say about this. This is one of the most horrendous things that I have ever seen. I have seen so many comparisons, people calling this Lawrence Fishburne, and it actually does look a little bit like Lawrence Fishburne. My first thought when I looked at this was, why does he look like something that was bitten on The Walking Dead? And you know what it reminds me of, and I wish I had pulled the image, it reminds me of that statue, the Ronaldo statue, which is still the all-time worst statue that has ever been made, where it looked absolutely nothing like him. But this has got to be in the top 3. I mean, this is perfect for Halloween. And so in the spirit of Halloween, I just had to show you all this, because that is... Tell me! Oh no! Oh no, it's Halloween Brie mode. M. Mills. Halloween Brie mode style. Hey, M. Mills, thank you for the $25 super chat. This looks like Dwayne Wade's great-grandfather coming out of his crypt, is what this looks like. All right, let's get that off the screen. How is it the WWE does these statues better than the NBA does? WWE they've done these bronze statues before, right? They have some of them, I think, set up in Titan Tower. They did one for Dusty. They did one for the Warrior. How is it that their statues look more lifelike and realistic than these? I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, like and subscribe. We are beyond 82,000 subscribers, now on our way to 83. Super chats are open. I'm going to be reading all of them as we go along here. M. Mills did not include a message in hers. She just wanted to activate Halloween Brie mode. So that is for you. I did that for you. I know she was waiting for that. So I hope you enjoyed it. And also one last reminder here for those of you who may have missed it. If you are a channel member, you have access to 2 hours in exclusive members-only Q&A. Part 1 and Part 2 are now up. And they are exclusively for you. So make sure, not right now, because you're going to watch this review, but after this, make sure you go ahead and check that out. If you missed it last week, it is up for your listening pleasure. Now, before I get into the Raw review here and everything that happened on the show tonight, I do want to just make mention of 2 injuries that took place, and this is completely unrelated to WWE. TNA just had its Bound for Glory pay-per-view on Saturday. They had their television tapings yesterday. And at their TV tapings, you know, this sort of thing happens every now and then where when it rains, it pours. And it was just cursed. And Vikingo, El Hijo del Vikingo, was wrestling on the show. I don't know who he was wrestling. It doesn't matter. But he did a corkscrew dive, like a springboard dive from the top rope out to the floor onto his opponent. And he landed wrong. And it looked from the video that I saw, the fan cam video, like he bent his ankle. It was clearly an ankle or a knee injury. Something went wrong, and he had to be stretchered out. And they've been very quiet about it. I think he posted something on his social media saying that he'll be back. It was one of these messages like, okay, he's going to be gone for a while. And what sucks about it is he just came back. I think he was maybe 5 matches in after being gone for, I think, 6 to 8 months. He was gone since the beginning of the year. He had ruptured, I think, a ligament in his knee. I mean, he really messed up his knee. So he had just come back. We just had him in House of Glory a couple weeks ago. The 18th. What was that, last week? Last Friday. We had him on the HOG show wrestling Nick Nemeth. And so now it appears that, I don't know what the injury is, but obviously it's serious enough. So he may be gone for a while. And on that same show, Chris Bay of the tag team ABC, who we've also had in HOG. He was wrestling. He was in a match with the Hardys. Something went wrong on a move. He was doing some spot with Matt Hardy, and obviously he landed the wrong way. He was not moving. He was motionless in the middle of the ring. He also had to be stretchered out of the building, so was not able to leave on his own power. And everybody is being very cryptic on social media. A lot of wrestlers, TNA wrestlers and non-TNA wrestlers, have posted messages of support to him. I believe there may be a GoFundMe that a family member or a friend may have posted for him to help with medical expenses. He had to have immediate emergency neck surgery. So think about how bad that must be if the doctors look at you and go, you need to have neck surgery right away. So exactly what the injury is, we don't know, but it's obviously very serious. And I just wanted to mention that and just send my best to the both of them. It sucks. I hate hearing about that. And I hope that it's not as bad as it seems, but it seems pretty bad for both of them. So just keep both those guys in your thoughts because they're going through some shit right now. And that's not fun. Let's get into this Raw show here. They opened by recapping last week's main event, which had Jey Uso losing the Intercontinental Championship to Bron Breakker with a little bit of help from the Bloodline. Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tongans, they showed up last week. And then Jey went to SmackDown, and he helped cost the Bloodline their tag team titles, which is how we ended up with the Motor City Machine Guns now as WWE Tag Team Champions for the very first time. So by the time Jey finally came through the concourse and he came through the crowd, and he hit the ring, we were 10 minutes into this show. Nothing happened. Kind of like this stream tonight, because I had to show you that Dwayne Wade statue, which I... Did I mention how ridiculous this statue looks? I just can't get over this. Oh, man. Looks like he's frozen in carbonite. All right. Enough of that. So Jey finally gets into the ring and he speaks to us 10 minutes into this show. He said it's been a very busy couple of weeks. He lost his title. There's been a lot of family drama. He said that he had to retaliate and cost the Bloodline the tag team titles. He said there's only one person he wanted to speak with right now, and that person knows exactly who he is. And yes, the Juliet, thank you for mentioning that. There was one other person, former wrestler, wrestling personality, who also was in the hospital, rushed actually back to the hospital. That is Maria Kanellis. And she had adrenal gland surgery just recently, I think this past week, which was serious surgery. And I guess they sent her home and she ended up being readmitted to the hospital. And I believe that's where she still is. So all the best to Maria as well, because I know she's also going through a tough time. So thank you for bringing that up. So the person that Jey was referring to was Jimmy. And out comes Jimmy Uso all the way from SmackDown, back on Raw again this week. Jimmy thanked Jey for what he did on SmackDown and said they need to be together to take down Solo and the Bloodline. Jimmy said that they're not the ones, and before he could say we the ones, Jey cut him off and said, we're not the ones either. Jey said the last time he saw Jimmy was half a year ago. That was at WrestleMania. Actually, no, that was last week. He said at WrestleMania they were fighting each other. A lot has happened since then. Jey noted that he became the Intercontinental Champion on his own. But no titles, top being Jimmy's twin brother. Jey said that they still had to fix things. He said, if we do this, they're nobody's do-boys, nobody's side pieces or yes men. I don't know. I mean, he said side pieces. I don't know if he necessarily meant to use that term, but that's what he did. So yes, they're nobody's side pieces, they're nobody's yes men. Jey said they're grown men, and if they do this, they do it together as the Usos. So Jimmy told Jey Roman Reigns is going to be on SmackDown this Friday, and he invited Jey to come to SmackDown to have a chat with Roman. He said, talk to him. And Jey said that he would be there. I would certainly hope so. Since it's already in the can, it was already taped. It's always weird when you watch these live segments and they're acting like what has already happened has not actually happened yet. It's not quite as bad as how it was back in like the early 90s WCW days, like 92, 93, when you would have somebody lose a championship, but they would tape so far in advance that the person who lost the title would continue to carry the title for weeks on end on television and at the live events because it hasn't aired yet. That was commonplace back then. Now, of course, back then you didn't have social media, you didn't have your fucking cell phones, so a lot of people didn't know. Can't really get away with that today.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Oh, man. Perfect for Halloween, this guy. This guy here. Fuck that tree. That's scary enough.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. The Halloween curse. Fuck that tree. Hey, Matt and Justin, thank you for the super chat, love. I appreciate it very much. Jimmy, all of a sudden, he noticed that somebody was rushing the ring, and it was Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. Solo Sikoa was at ringside with Jacob Fatu. He motioned for Fatu to get in the ring, which Fatu did. The Tongans tied up Jimmy in the ropes. Solo slid a chair to Fatu, who placed it around Jey's neck in the corner, and it looked like he was about to come charging in for a hip attack, I assume. Jey, though, threw the chair at him. Jimmy got free. Both Usos super kicked everybody out of the ring. The crowd was on the quieter side, and as it would turn out, they were on the quieter side for most of the things on this show. I think they were in Hershey tonight. They were in Pennsylvania 2 weeks in a row, right? Because they were in Philly last week, which is not a city that has been kind to Jey Uso. And tonight they were in Hershey. So this Usos comeback here at the end of this segment, the crowd was very lethargic, not very into this. But a pretty predictable segment, to set up the Usos and Roman segment coming up on Friday, which, as I mentioned, was taped last Friday in Brooklyn. They're following the expected path here with these guys. With, Jey, he's willing to meet with Roman Reigns, but he's skeptical, as he should be. This is what I've been saying all along. Take the time to tell the story the right way. The right way to tell the story is Jey Uso needs to be skeptical, and Jey Uso needs some demands met if he's going to let bygones be bygones and stand side by side with Roman Reigns in tribal combat here against the Bloodline. There's certain things that need to be agreed to. Now, I didn't read the spoilers for SmackDown on Friday. I saw some of the things that take place as far as matches and stuff, but I didn't get into the weeds as far as what was discussed and what was said, during the Bloodline segment. And there will be a Bloodline segment on SmackDown on Friday. So I don't know exactly what was said, but based on what Jey said here in this promo, if you listen to his words, it sounds like if he's going to do this, he wants Roman Reigns to understand here that this arrangement this time, as compared to how the Bloodline was before, they got to be equals now. Like he said, no yes men. None of this shit where you have the tribal chief and everybody kisses the ring and bows down to his feet and is at his every beck and call. I broke away on my own. I did shit on my own. I got over on my own. I became a champion on my own. I don't need you. I don't need this. But if I'm going to do this, we have to have an understanding. We have to have a verbal contract here. And we have to be all equals. We have to be on the same level here. So that's what I'm expecting out of this segment on Friday. I'm not going to take orders from you anymore. You're not the boss of me. And then we'll see what Roman's response is, what Roman's reaction is to that. But again, it's going down the expected, predictable path. Backstage, Adam Pearce, he yelled at Nick Aldis on the phone. He said that he agreed to let Jimmy Uso appear on Raw, but he did not agree to the Bloodline appearing. And Pearce told Aldis that he needs to control his damn roster. Well, at least they tried to explain Jimmy Uso being on the show here. That it was okay for him, but it was not okay for the others. But look, this is the problem, right? If you're going to do a Bloodline Civil War, you have members of this family that are spread across multiple shows. So you can't tell this story and you can't build to, a War Games match with people on different brands and not have a mixing of the brands. Got no choice. This was always inevitable. You were going to have crossover between the two shows. That's what happens. So the Judgment Day approached Adam Pearce. Dominic said that he was curious to know which former world champion he would be facing in the main event. Pearce told Dom that he'll be facing Damian Priest, which was the predictable choice. Pearce told them happy Monday and he walked away. And then Dom said, look, I know all of Priest's tricks. And he told all the others, Balor was there, Carlito, McDonough, Liv. I got to do this by myself. I want to go out to the ring and do this by myself tonight. We had Sheamus one-on-one with Ludwig Kaiser. These two have had good matches before. This was no different. It would be nice, though, to see them wrestling other people. I don't need to see this match over and over and over again. I mean, this was at least their third, maybe fourth singles match. Sheamus went to the ropes for white noise. Kaiser slipped out and powerbombed him, and then in the end, Sheamus caught Kaiser with a knee strike and a brogue kick for the win. Another good match between these guys, hard-hitting, but again, I don't need to see it again. There is an obvious story waiting for Sheamus, and I think we all know what that is. It is too early for them to tell it, though, because Braun Breaker just won the Intercontinental title back last week. So he's not going to hold on to the championship for a couple more weeks and then drop it again. This time he's going to have it for a little bit longer. And I do think that Sheamus is the right person to take it away from him, but that's something you've got to wait and you've got to take your time and tell that story. That's a 2025 story, not 2024. So in the meantime, Sheamus is someone who just feels like, all right, they don't really have anything specific for him at the moment, other than to rack up wins, which is what he should be doing. He should be racking up wins. He should be showing his dominance. And when the time is right, then you can build to that match. Maybe they start with the Royal Rumble. And maybe that then leads into Mania season. But that's a story that is not going to be told until next year. So in the meantime, this is what we end up with here. Backstage, the Usos bumped into Sami Zayn. Sami said that he wanted to talk to Jey alone. And Jimmy said that, Jimmy got up and...
I love you, Solo! You are my tribal chief!
Wolfman, thank you for the $15. Jacob Fatu making an appearance here. Jimmy and Sami got face-to-face, a little tension there between them. Jey said, look, it's cool. And he asked Jimmy to leave, so Jimmy left. Sami asked Jey, look, everything's cool with you now? And Jimmy? After all that you went through, after all that he and they put you through, you guys are just cool, just like that? And he wondered if Jey was really going to talk to Roman Reigns after all the things that he did and the way that he treated Jey, the manipulation, the mind games. Jey said that he thinks Solo Sikoa is worse than Roman. And Jey told Sami that it sounded like he was on Solo's side. And Sami said, I'm not on anyone's side, only your side. And he told Jey that he didn't have to choose sides. You don't have to go back. This is not your fight. You're your own man now. You don't have to get involved. This has nothing to do with you. This is not your fight. And Jey told Sami that you wouldn't understand because you're not family. So the story begins. There it is. And he's not family. He's the honorary Uso, right? Roman never made him a full-blown Uso. He only threatened to. So it begins. Again, we knew that this was going to happen. Now we have to just watch it all play out. And there was a much more interesting twist on this that came later in the show that we'll get to. This is where they aired the Gunther video promo that I mentioned. He called Cody Rhodes a gutless champion, which is what he called him on SmackDown on Friday. Cody dragged another close friend into his business, this time Randy Orton. And Gunther suggested that Cody pull Orton aside and ask him what it felt like to be choked out by him because Cody would be next. Cody would wake up and finally realize that he was a secondary champion. Much better segment on Friday between the two of them if you didn't see it. Got to go back and check that out. We had Ivy Nile with the Creed brothers in her corner against Zelina Vega with the LWO in hers. Zelina hit a dive. They went to a break a minute into the match. Vega went for a moonsault after the break and completely missed Ivy Nile on the mat. And we had Wade Barrett on commentary, and Wade just goes, she didn't quite get all of it. And I'm like, no, Wade, she didn't get any of it. I know you're trying to cover for her, but no, she did not get any of it. Brutus Creed distracted the referee while Julius prevented Zelina from hitting a code red. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, they went after the Creeds. They got laid out, though. Nile hit Vega with a swinging Uranagi and pinned her. The only good thing I could say about this, it's a win for American Made, which is something they desperately need more of. It's a win for American Made, but this match was no good. I wish I could tell you that it was a better match, but I can't. I'd be lying if I said that, so that's the bad part. Backstage, Jimmy asked Jey how his talk with Sami went. And Jey recalled telling Sami that he wasn't family in the conversation that they had. And Jimmy said, well, he's not. And Jey said that Sami stepped up when Jimmy left. And Jimmy asked Jey, let me talk to Sami. And Jey didn't like that idea. He was worried that something bad would happen. And Jimmy gave his word, I'm just going to talk to him. So the plot thickens. And then the Judgment Day appeared. Ian, as soon as I hear the music, I could tell right away who the super chat was from. Ian Noel Camelot with the $32 super chat. Ian, thank you. Thank you all, man, for the super chat love. Again, this is the second to last stream here for October. We've had a very good October. I want to end with a great October. The hunt for Red October. We have tonight and we have Wednesday. So hopefully we'll kill it these next two streams. Speaking of being killed, that brings us to Seth Rollins, who came out, and I twitch every time he comes out at the very beginning of the promo when he goes, I'm a visionary. I'm a revolutionary. No, you're not. How? How? How are you a revolutionary? How are you a visionary? Stop saying that. Comes out to the ring to address Bronson Reed ahead of their match coming up at Crown Jewel. He said he's on the hunt for a monster. Reed is reminding him of what he's capable of, and he kind of likes it. Said he's woken up something in his soul. Bronson Reed interrupted Seth. He was up on the big screen, and it looked like he was standing outside in the parking lot because we saw the big tractor trailer behind him. Reed said that he promised Adam Pearce he would not cause chaos, but he said if Rollins wants to hunt a monster, he was waiting in the parking lot. And Rollins told Reed, don't move. And he left the ring, and the camera followed him. He went through the back. He went through the gorilla position. Adam Pearce tried to stop Rollins. He said, look, you already got your match. And Rollins blew him off and said, I don't care. And so Reed and Rollins, they started fighting in the parking lot. Bronson Reed put Seth Rollins on top of an equipment case that was set up right next to one of the 18-wheelers that's sitting there. Rollins grabbed one of the rear doors of the truck and swung it and hit Reed in the head with it 2 times. And so then there's a car there. There's a car next to the truck. And he's dazed. So now Reed is bent over. And he's basically bent over on the hood. And so Rollins is on top of the crate. And he comes off and he gives him a stomp on the hood of this car. So Reed was out cold. Rollins starts walking away and he's cutting a promo into the camera, but you could see behind him in the background, all of a sudden, like a monster rising back like a Halloween movie villain. Reed is back up on his feet and he's taking security geeks and he's shoving them out of the way. And so the fight resumed. Rollins ended up in the back of a truck. I guess the back of the truck, he climbed up into the back. And Reed was able to take a garbage can and he hurled the garbage can into the back of the truck and it hit Rollins. So Reed joined him up in the back of the truck and then he got him up on his shoulders and he performed a running Death Valley driver to Seth Rollins off the back of the truck through 2 tables that were conveniently set up outside. Now, I would like to know why those 2 tables were stationed there. They never told us, but it's a good thing they were because Seth Rollins got put through them. And Adam Pearce was there. He shouted for medical, and Reed walked off. Rollins did not. And this segment right here, one of the best parts, if not the best part outside of the Bloodline. This was the best part of the show outside of the Bloodline stuff. And it just goes to show you it's another example of why Bronson Reed has been the best part of Monday Night Raw now for months. Months. At least a couple. 2, 3 months. Because he's become a must-see attraction on this show because wherever he goes, chaos will follow. Whether it's with Rollins, whether it's with Braun Strowman, whoever it may be. Chaos always follows. And I love the stuff, outside the arena, in the parking lot, or in the back. I love that kind of shit anyway. So it's another example of why he has become my favorite part of this show week to week. And now we have this match coming up, or so we think, on Saturday. And I may as well skip ahead a little bit here because we got an update. Let me see if I can find what Mr. Tessa, here we go. So Joe Tessitore, a little bit later on in the show, we got a medical update from him on Seth Rollins, and he said that Rollins complained of back pain, and he was sent to a local medical center. And they would get back to us with any updates when they had them. The thought occurred to me, and I hope they're not doing this, that they might pull the match. And the reason I think that there's a chance, at least, that they might actually pull the match from the Crown Jewel card, I did my Crown Jewel predictions on the podcast yesterday, episode 885 of the Sound Off, and I was struck by how many matches are on the card. There's 6 matches that have already been announced, with a 7th that might be added on SmackDown this Friday. 7 matches is a lot for a Triple H card. And we're not talking WrestleMania, we're not talking SummerSlam where you can have 7 or 8 matches. Like, that's a lot of matches for a Triple H PLE. And so I'm wondering if that's not even really the plan. If they want you to think that Rollins and Reed are going to have a match at Crown Jewel, but this is their way of pulling the match for storyline purposes to keep Rollins off TV for a couple of weeks and save it maybe for Survivor Series. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying the thought occurred to me that, boy, there's a lot of matches scheduled for Crown Jewel, more than usual. And then they do this angle and they tease the possibility that Rollins might be hurt. So it's either they're going to pull the match or they're not going to pull the match. But now when Bronson Reed, or if Bronson Reed, which he should, beat Seth Rollins, they'll have the built-in excuse, well, Rollins was not 100%. Rollins has a bad back. And so if he loses, well, he was hurt. Which is a cop-out reason, but under no circumstances should Bronson Reed be losing to Seth Rollins in this first match that they're going to have. So if they want to give Rollins a storyline injury excuse, so be it. Obviously, it's going to be one of those two reasons, but if that match happens on Saturday, under no circumstances would I be beating Bronson Reed. That would be a huge mistake if they do that. Because there's just nothing to be gained from that. When you have someone like Reed who's become a real attraction on this show, you don't beat him in the first match. You get a couple of matches at least out of it and give him a big, credible win over your former World Heavyweight Champion in the first match. That way, if Rollins comes back and he finally slays the monster, it doesn't sting as much, right? Because I think we all know in the end, he's going to probably beat Bronson Reed to pay this program off and then move on to CM Punk or whoever. But you got to give the big guy a win here. He needs that win a lot more than Seth Rollins does. Rollins doesn't need it. Rollins is a made guy. Bronson Reed is not. He's making himself. But he still needs help from somebody who's already a made man like Rollins. That happens by beating Seth Rollins. I would prefer he just beats him clean straight up. But if this is their out for him, then so be it. We had footage from after Raw. This is after last week's show of The Miz telling Karrion Kross that it wasn't working out because they've been trying to recruit The Miz. And so he's telling them that it's not working out and wishes them good luck against the Wyatt Six. AOP blocked his path when he went to go leave, and Kross yelled about Paul Ellering last week taking a bullet for The Miz, which he did. He took a mandible claw from Uncle Howdy. And we didn't see him this week. There was no Paul Ellering. I wonder if that was the way to write him out. And he's not going to be traveling with them anymore. I don't really know what the purpose of him even being there was to begin with. It was like a running joke. Paul Ellering is there, but did anybody really notice week to week that he's on the show? He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything. This is the first time that he got physically involved. So if he is off the show, I mean, it's not like they're using him in a really super meaningful way. He's not cutting promos for AOP. Sorry to say, I mean, as far as this program, I mean, nothing of any great value would be lost if you remove him from television. Sorry, but that's just the truth. So Kross said the only ways out were through them or the Wyatts. So he thought that we should have a conversation. So that was from last week. Now we come back live in the back. R-Truth is in the back with Otis, Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree. The Miz showed up, and now he's apologizing to R-Truth. He's the one who turned on him, but now he's apologizing to him. I didn't mean it. Maxine told Truth, don't listen to him. Miz said, yeah, don't listen to me. Don't listen to the former World Heavyweight Champion here. And instead pay attention to Snow White and her two little dorks over here. Truth said that Miz had a point, and he made up with him, and they hugged. And it looked like Miz Truth, or Awesome Truth, I guess, was back together. And then Truth dropped him with a right hand. And Truth said, good luck with the Wyatts. Y'all gonna die. And he walked off, and as he was walking off, he walked by Pete Dunne and called him Butch. And Pete Dunne didn't like that very much. So I'm guessing that's going to be a match on Raw next week. We had a triple threat number one contenders match for the tag team titles. It was the New Day, it was Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and it was the War Raiders, who made their return a few weeks ago to TV. Mysterio was on the verge of making a hot tag when Xavier Woods punched Dragon Lee off the apron. And there were some boos for Xavier Woods, who acted annoyed by this. Like, what did I do wrong? I'm trying to win a match here. It's all legal. I didn't do anything wrong. Kingston tagged in. He worked over Ivar and Mysterio. Then he landed a dive out onto all four opponents on the floor. Late in the match, Kofi gave Lee a backbreaker across his knee, and he held him there. And he tagged in Woods, or he was waiting for Woods, to do a double team move. Xavier Woods, instead of following through on the move so that they could win, he noticed on the opposite side of the ring, Rey Mysterio was climbing back inside. And so he opted to charge towards Rey Mysterio, who he clearly doesn't like. Mysterio moved out of the way. That caused Woods to tumble through the ropes and crash and burn on the floor. So his hatred of Rey Mysterio costs him the match. Because Rey set up for a 619 on Kofi. Chad Gable showed up. I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he was from under the ring or if he came out of the crowd. He was on the side where the announcers were, so I don't know where he was hiding out, but he tripped Rey Mysterio as he hit the ropes, and he put him in an ankle lock. And so while he's got Rey in an ankle lock, he drags him out of the ring to the floor, and then he applies the grapevine to the leg, the leg that he had the ankle lock on, and he grapevines it and drops to the floor. And Rey is screaming in agony. So that's going on the floor. Back in the ring, the War Raiders finished off Kingston with their springboard clothesline into a German suplex combo, and Eric pinned Kofi to win it for the Vikings. Crowd was quiet for a good chunk of this match, quieter than you would think. I thought it was good enough. I tell you one thing, I was not expecting the War Raiders to win this match. Like I said before, if I had to rank all three teams in the order in which I thought they had a shot at winning here, I would have had the Raiders in number 3. And even though they just came back, they didn't have to be the ones to take the pinfall loss. You could have beaten them without beating them, if you know what I mean. But I just didn't think they were going to go for the heel versus heel match because the tag team champions are heels. They're JD McDonough and Finn Balor. So I figured the New Day will go on, and then they'll probably lose. And that might be where Woods has just a complete meltdown. Or I could see Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee going. And you have the LWO against the Judgment Day. And maybe they actually put the belts on Mysterio and Dragon Lee. I was not predicting a War Raiders win. But when they did, and so we're going to get heel against heel. One thing I will say, I hope they win the titles because Balor and McDonough, they need to drop those belts as soon as possible. And I don't know why. I find myself saying that a lot about tag team champions across multiple promotions. I said that about the Young Bucks because they went fucking 4 months without even defending the titles. I have a feeling they are going to lose the belts this Wednesday to Private Party. I hope they do. So yeah, the Bucks, it was like 4 months sitting at home. No title defenses. What are we doing here? And then you had the titles on SmackDown there for a while. I think don't even get me started on the tag division over the last few months on SmackDown. And here on Raw, Balor and McDonough, they're like the Young Bucks of Raw, where how many title defenses have these guys had in the last several months? You can count them all on one hand and still have fingers left over. It's boring. It's boring. Get the belts off them. Hopefully that's what happens. The other thing in this match, we had the latest development in the New Day story where Xavier Woods cost his team the win. Now, he's not going to see it that way, probably, but he cost his team a win. They're not even going to the championship match. So this is only going to cause more problems. November is the 10-year anniversary of the New Day. So we're getting very close to this story paying off in whatever way it's going to pay off, whether it's an actual heel turn from Xavier Woods or a near heel turn and Big E shows up and tries to get the band back on the same page. We're getting very close to whatever this next big twist in that story is going to be with the anniversary coming up. But how about Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio? I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I think look, if you put them in the ring and they have a match like Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio did at SummerSlam, 22 years ago, which is honestly one of my favorite matches in SummerSlam history. That opening match at SummerSlam 2002 is one of the best opening matches that they've ever had on a pay-per-view. And if they could capture even some of the magic, I mean, I know Ray is 22 years older. His knees are 22 years older now. And I'm not saying Chad Gable is Kurt Angle, but clearly he mirrors him in many ways. And I think those two could have a really good match. So that is something I'm looking forward to. Then we got the update from Tessitore on Seth Rollins' physical state, which I already talked about. Backstage, The Miz was throwing a fit to Adam Pearce about not having security around because Truth punched him and the Final Testament won't leave him alone and the Wyatt Six is hunting for him. And Pearce was just laughing and he wanted to know what was so funny. And so Pearce turned him around and we see the Final Testament is standing behind The Miz. And Karrion Kross told Miz, I want you to find Bo Dallas and I want you to ask him why he's getting involved in our business. And if you don't, I'm going to break your legs. And off they went. So we did not see The Miz again. We did not see the Wyatt Six on the show this week, but now The Miz is going to have to go hunting for Bo Dallas. So that'll be, I assume, on next week's show. We'll find out. But then came the big twist here in the Bloodline story. This was the most interesting of all the Bloodline segments on the show tonight. We had Jimmy Uso backstage. He was looking for Sami Zayn, and he's walking towards the exit, and we are looking at him. So he sees something off in the distance that we initially cannot see. Jey Uso then walks up to him and asks if he had talked to Sami. And Jimmy pointed, and we see off in the distance in the parking lot, camera zooms in, like through the railing that was there, the camera zooms in, and we see Sami Zayn having a conversation with Solo Sikoa, who's sitting in the passenger seat of an SUV. Sami is standing outside the car, and they're having a conversation. What about? We don't know. We can't hear, so we don't know what they're talking about. Cut back to Jimmy and Jey. Jimmy tells Jey, "Told you, Oos. Family is all we got. You, me, and Roman, we got to do this." And Jey said, "Yeet," which I guess means he agreed. That was an interesting little twist that I did not see coming. It looked like Solo Sikoa was talking his ear off. Sami wasn't doing too much of the talking from what we saw. So was Solo trying to recruit Sami? Was Solo trying to play mind games, knowing that it would get back to the Usos and cause problems between all of them? Did Sami initiate the conversation? Maybe he went to go find Solo. Is he trying to convince Solo Sikoa to leave Jey alone? Hey, I don't have a dog in this fight. You don't like Roman. I don't like Roman, but I'm friends with Jey. Jey doesn't have anything to do with this. Jey's got his own thing going. He's got a good thing going. He doesn't want to get involved. Leave him alone. Like, was it that type of conversation? Could have been as simple as that. Again, we don't know because we couldn't hear what was being said. We all know how this story ends, meaning we all know what the destination is here for Survivor Series. We know what the destination is going to be for War Games. It's going to be Bloodline against Bloodline. And the only question left to fill in, how do we get there? How do we get there? You punch the address into the GPS in your car. You know where you're going. You know it's going to take you, 45 minutes to get there. But maybe this time you take a different route. Maybe you think you're going to go this way and you decide to go that way. It takes a little bit longer. Maybe it's a shortcut. Maybe you get there quicker. That's really what we're talking about here. How are they going to get us to Roman, Jimmy, Jey, and Sami all together on the same side? They could take the easy way and just have Jey talk to Sami and go, "Hey, I need you. We got to take these guys down. Are you with me?" And Sami goes, "Sure, I'm with you," right? That'd be pretty fucking boring, especially when you have 4 more weeks of television to build up to this pay-per-view. How are we going to get there? Now, all of a sudden, this is kind of interesting. How's this going to play out? What's that next conversation going to be like between Sami and Jey? Is Sami going to be offended if he thinks that Jey doesn't believe him? If he feels that, what, you think I'm actually trying to work some kind of deal out with Solo Sikoa? Like, that might offend him. I don't know. One thing I will tell you, I'll tell you one person who's not going to be very happy about this, Kevin Owens. If Kevin Owens finds out that Sami Zayn, his good friend Sami, is buddying up to and having a conversation with Solo Sikoa, who has been just tormenting him and kicking his ass now, him and the Bloodline for months. You saw what Owens did to Cody. You saw what Owens did to Randy Orton. If I'm Sami Zayn, I got eyes in the back of my head. Because there's no telling how Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, rather, is going to react if he finds out about this. Although I don't think that's where the story is going. I don't think Owens is going to attack him, but that would be kind of funny if he did. But now we go into SmackDown on Friday. Again, it's already been taped. We're going to get the Roman, Jimmy, and Jey interaction, and it could be leading to something at Crown Jewel. I'll leave it at that. But Crown Jewel is just a bump in the road. This is all leading to War Games. How do we get 4-on-4? Right now it's 4-on-3. Assuming that Jey and Roman work things out, it's 4-on-3. How do we get to 4-on-4? Nothing wrong with trying to make things a little more interesting. This is episodic TV here. You got hours and hours of television to fill between now and then. And I think also a lot of people look back on that original Bloodline storyline when it initially played out. And that was really the best period, when you had Sami Zayn in there. All those segments, and there's a few that stand out. Obviously, the Usi one. A lot of people will talk about that one. But like the tribal court one with Roman and Madison Square Garden on SmackDown, there were so many great segments that involve all of those guys. And it would be nice to get some of that back, because it just feels like the Bloodline stuff has been treading water in some ways. They've introduced some new faces into it, Jacob Fatu being the biggest, but it doesn't have the charm, I guess, when Sami was a part of it, like a lot of those early segments did. So if over these next 4 weeks we can kind of claw back some of that, I'm all for that. I miss that. Like when it comes to the Bloodline stuff, it is at a point now where it's getting old. They're trying to make it interesting and introduce little wrinkles to the story here and there, which I appreciate. But you know, you're going to get to a point where unless you really shake this up in a big way, I do think people are just going to grow tired of it. Right? I mean, there's only so much you can do before you introduce more new faces. And they have an endless supply of them in that family, obviously. I mean, they could continue introducing new faces to the Bloodline for fucking 3 more years if they want to. But I like Sami being a part of this again, and it gives him something to do. It's not like he's doing anything right now. He had his match with Gunther, he lost. What the hell else are you going to do with Sami Zayn? So it puts him back in a top position where he could be involved in the top story in the company. So for him, it's a great spot to be in. Damian Priest against Dominik Mysterio, who was told last week by Adam Pearce, who laughed in his face. He was amused when Dominic said that he thought he deserved a World Heavyweight Championship match. And Adam Pearce told him, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will give you a match against a former World Heavyweight Champion. He didn't tell him who it was. You can win, then I will consider giving you a shot at the World Championship. So that is what led to this match. Damian Priest was the opponent. Dominic tried 3 amigos. Priest countered the last one into a Falcon Arrow. Priest followed with a flatliner for 2. Dominic escaped, so Priest went outside and basically, I don't know if he shoved him or shoulder checked him over the announce desk, and Dominic went flying. I think Joe Testator may have said shit. Somebody said shit because they bleeped it out. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they ran out and they distracted the referee while JD McDonough and Carlito attacked Priest. Priest fought them off and he attacked them with a chair. The referee yelled at Priest for defending himself against Carlito, who is in the ring now. And with Priest distracted, Dominic caught him with a schoolboy, holding the tights, and he pinned Damian Priest. So Dominik Mysterio pins a former World Heavyweight Champion. Dominic tried to bail immediately. Priest, though, hit him with a razor's edge. And then he was about to leave. After hearing Lillian Garcia announce Dominic as the winner, though, he decided to go back to the ring. He attacked Dom over and over and over again with a chair. Carlito tried to save Dom. Priest chokeslammed them both. The rest of the Judgment Day without Balor. Balor did not show up here. They helped Dom out of the ring. Dominic was barely moving. He did manage to raise his hand in victory. And Priest stood on the ropes looking down sarcastically, clapping for the winner, applauding the winner, and smiling. First, let me just say this. This continues a rough pattern here of most matches on this show ending with some kind of interference, whether it's a distraction that leads to the finish or just outright people getting involved behind the referee's back or getting involved for the disqualification, whatever it may be. It's been really bad the last 2 weeks. Almost every single match. I don't want to say every single because Sheamus and Kaiser was clean. But nearly every single other match on the last 2 weeks at least, maybe 3, of Raw, definitely the last 2, has had some kind of interference. And I get that in certain situations it makes sense for the story that you're telling. And if it's going to happen, I would rather it happen here than at Crown Jewel. But still, You can't be doing that. Every fucking match cannot end with some kind of interference or some kind of distraction. I mean, that's just lazy. I'm sorry. That's just lazy writing and lazy bullshit is what that is. But Dominic wins. Priest then, after he wins, he immediately destroys him. And not only does he destroy Dominic, but he's standing there and he's smiling. He's sarcastically smiling. And that's how they went off the air, with a shot of Damian Priest smiling. So I'm not really sure the win did much for Dominic, other than put him in a position now where he is probably going to challenge soon for the World Heavyweight Championship. And that should be fun, watching him get the shit chopped out of him, the soul chopped out of his body by Gunther. Again, we were deprived of Dominic against Brock Lesnar earlier this year at Elimination Chamber when Brock got sent home. So this is the next best thing, watching Gunther destroy Dominik Mysterio. I hope they do it. I mean, that could be a TV main event one of these weeks. I wouldn't think that would be the World Championship match at Survivor Series, but I guess you never know. I guess it's possible. Priest is just spinning his wheels right now with the Judgment Day. It's very clear that he needs to move beyond this. Him and the Judgment Day, you know, when he beat Finn Balor at Bad Blood, that was it. Like, I was shocked. I thought that you would give Balor the win and then have, you know, you can extend this a little bit longer, have Priest fight to get that win back and get his revenge. And they didn't do that. Not only did he beat him, but he basically beat up all the members of the Judgment Day. It was like a big handicap match, and he beat them all. And I'm like, well, that ends that. We don't need to see him working with the Judgment Day anymore. And yet here we are, and he's still working with the Judgment Day. Now, they did set up in a backstage segment last week a tease for him and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. That could be the Survivor Series match. If they do Dom and Gunther on TV, they could do Priest and Gunther at the pay-per-view. If not at Survivor Series, then maybe we're looking at Saturday night's main event in December. Because they're trying very hard. They're going to try to make that show, because that's their big return to prime time on NBC. And there is no PLE in December. They're going to try to make that Saturday night's main event show like a PLE. And I'm hoping that they bring back some of the nostalgia for it. Like, they're running an NXT show next Wednesday, opposite AEW Dynamite, at the old ECW arena. And they've already announced that Dawn Marie is going to come back. I think she's going to be the guest referee for a match. Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, whatever, Bully the Clown, he's going to be on the show, probably wrestling Ridge Holland or somebody. Imagine watching that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling show and thinking, you know who we need? You know who we need? We need that. We need Bully Ray on our show. But obviously it's Philadelphia, it's the ECW arena, so he'll be over. And anyway, they're going for the nostalgia, the ECW nostalgia on that show. I want to get some nostalgia on my Saturday night's main event show as well. And, you know, we had Jesse Ventura a few weeks ago announce that he had finally signed his Legends contract with WWE. I'm going to be very disappointed if we don't get at least one match or an introduction or something with Jesse on commentary. I know Jesse doesn't follow the product. He doesn't watch wrestling. He's not going to do the entire show. But you can't bring back Saturday night's main event, which he was a staple on that show throughout the 1980s. You can't bring that show back at the same time that you get Jesse Ventura back in the family and not have him be a part of that show in some way. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and they're going to build that up as a big show, and I could see them doing a big WWE title match and World Heavyweight Championship match on the show that night. So maybe that's when we get Gunther and Priest. But that was it as far as Raw. The Bloodline stuff and the Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed stuff, and everything else was completely missable. Everything else on the show was completely missable. It felt like filler. Even the stories that they furthered, like with the New Day and stuff, I mean, that was fine, but it just didn't click. This show just didn't click in the way that it has in the past. Those are really the best parts of what I thought otherwise was just a very basic, lethargic show tonight. And maybe because they're just getting ready for Crown Jewel, they just want to get it done. They want to get it out of the way, and then we can move past it and move on the road to Survivor Series, and hopefully things will liven up a little bit. But Yeah, not my favorite show. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. What did you think of Raw before Crown Jewel, the Go Home Raw? 69% thumbs up. 31% thumbs down. Get those votes in at Solomonster. What is the update on the World Series, by the way? I was watching before, and it was 4-0 Dodgers. They were kicking the Yankees' ass. So I don't know what the update is. I'm going to assume that they are winning or won. If the Yankees lost this game, the World Series is over. The World Series is done. They're not having a Boston Red Sox 2004 moment. So I'm sorry to all you Yankee fans out there. Dodgers won? Okay, well then the World Series is over. They may scrap and they may try to scrape a win or even two, but that's about all they're going to get. There's no way against this Dodger team that they're now going to come back and win all of the remaining games in this series. So, look, I told you, yeah, Judge is boring as fuck. I told you. I said, look, I don't want to get all the Yankee fans upset, but I said that of all the teams that were remaining in the playoffs, this is before the Mets got bounced, the Yankees were just a very boring team. Like, I was watching the game the other day when Freddie Freeman hit the first home run, then he hit the other one, the grand slam, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm just kind of objectively, independently watching this series, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for that team. And they beat us.
Yeah.
But they're the team I'm rooting for. Not because I hate the Yankees, but because they're just fucking boring. You know? There's no story. We talk about story in wrestling. There's no story. Where's the story? Not looking good for the Yankees. What can I say? There's always next year. We got to get Soto in the offseason. That's what we have to do. All right, let's get to your super chats here. A light night, so we might be able to get through this quickly, I guess. We'll see. And we're also lagging on the likes, so not looking good for Be the Booker, but we'll see where we end up. We will see where we end up. Maybe everybody's out trick-or-treating early. I don't know. We'll start with Sidro, though. Sidro always puts a smile on my face. Sidro says, what do you call a hippie's wife? Mississippi. Also, studies show cows produce more milk when farmers talk to them. Case of one ear and out the udder. Oh, God. What's the difference between an outlaw and an in-law? Outlaws are wanted. Okay. That was good. That was good. No booze for that one. Also, if athletes get athlete's foot, what do astronauts get? Mistletoe. You know what? That may have been your best combo yet. That may have been Sidro's best combo yet. I like that. Hey, Robert, thank you. Jerome Eugenio, in 2024, the roll-up is still one of the most devastating finishers in all of wrestling. I don't know why these guys, they flip and they fly and they do destroyers and they do moonsaults and they do dives of all shapes and sizes. They break their knees, they break their legs, they break their ankles. All you got to do is just roll up your opponent. I don't know why they bother. It's a hell of a lot more effective. People constantly kicking out of destroyers and all these big moves, but they don't kick out of these roll-ups. Prince Vegeta 95. So any pay-per-view match with Roman Reigns in it automatically headline over the world title match. I feel like we are getting main event Sikoa again. You may be right, because Cody and Gunther, frankly, is, you would think, right, world champion against WWE champion. If they have a Bloodline match, like a Bloodline tag match on this show on Saturday, I think the story dictates that's automatically the biggest thing on the show. in that case, I would understand that. Has a much better story than Cody and Gunther does. Dev to Dust, Terminator 1984 is better than Terminator 2. It isn't, but they're both excellent movies, so I don't hate on either one, but T2 was like a revolutionary movie. T2 is one of those timeless action movies that I could always go back and watch and never get bored of. Terminator's kind of like that too, but I got to give T2 the edge. M. Mills, thank you for the 25. Breaking in the Halloween-themed Brie mode. Get it while you can. It's going to be gone at the end of this week. Limited time only. NWO Matt, Solo, the power of the learning tree blesses you. Justin G, have to find out if we have a spooky learning tree. Happy... It's spooky enough. I don't have to do anything to it. It's spooky enough on its own. What do I have to do to it? Ian Gomes, or Gomez. I'm going to say Gomes. Are you going to do a live stream on Halloween? No. The Halloween stream, you're looking at the Halloween streams. We're doing a Halloween stream, I guess, on Wednesday. That'll be the Fright Night Dynamite. That'll be our Halloween stream. Halloween does not fall on a streaming day this year, so the answer is no. I would like to try to watch a Halloween movie that night if I can. I have fallen behind. I tell you what, though, I have not seen any of the Halloween movies in the last few weeks, but I did.
I am the
Just shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy Rose. I watched a movie. I got a recommendation for all of you. Came out in 2016. I just watched it last night for the first time, and I enjoyed it. It's a movie called Hush. And it's about a deaf woman who lives in the woods. She lives like in the middle of nowhere, and she gets stalked and terrorized by a murderer in a mask. And it's not a long movie. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. And I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. So again, it's called Hush. If you're looking for a lesser known horror film, go check that one out. I think you might enjoy it. Dev to Dust. The Mets had a better performance against the Dodgers than the Yankees. Also, that's because the Mets are a better team than the Yankees this year. That's why it really pisses me off, because had the Mets been able to beat the Dodgers, we would have gotten our revenge on the Yankees. If we had another Subway Series, we would have won this year. This would have been our year. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Big Papi David Ortiz? I got nothing against Big Papi. The guy got shot and he lived to tell. That's pretty badass. Alex Rodriguez, I don't care for. And Derek Jeter just looks to me like he doesn't even want to be there. I can't stand A-Rod. He just seems like he's such a phony. He's just such a phony. I don't like him. Tiger Tragic. During the segment between the Judgment Day and Adam Pearce, the first thought I had was, God, they look like fucking dorks. Rhea and Damian really helped that. Of course, Rhea and Damian, they were the cool factor in the group. You've taken the cool factor away. You're left with Carlito and JD McDonough and Dominic, who's supposed to be a geek. I mean, what do you expect? Oh, Garfield. Garfield, delusional Garfield. How can you say that the Mets would have lost when you see how fucking piss poor the Yankees have looked? The Yankees have been embarrassed in this World Series, and you're going to tell me they would have beaten the Mets? You're out of your mind. I don't know what you're watching, but you're not watching the same games I'm watching. Pisco95, a lot of people screamed cinema after the recent SmackDown episode, not me. But I was unimpressed with how rushed it felt. Are there any segments that a lot of fans praise, but you can never understand the hype? Well, I don't like the use of that word. I think that word cinema, I cringe every time I hear it. Oh, it's cinema. It's cinema. Dude, I swear to God, if you took a non-wrestling fan, or even someone who's maybe very casually a wrestling fan, but they're like a movie connoisseur, and you showed them these segments, and they saw people going, oh my God, this is cinema. This should win an award. Like, these people would look at you like you need to get your head examined. Like, you need to get out more. You need to expand your palate and watch some real cinema. You know, like, it's good. Some of it's really good. But the overuse of the word cinema has to die. Like, we have to take, I'm sorry to say it, all you wrestling fans out there, and I'm not throwing shade at the Bloodline, but all you fans of the Bloodline segments that call them, we need to take that word, okay? We need to take the word cinema, just give them to me. I'm going to take them away from you, and we have to throw him in a fire, and he has to die, okay? You're overusing the word to the point where now it's just becoming cringy, okay? Please don't use that word. But are there segments that people praise that I never got the hype? I mean, none that I could think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there have been. I'm trying to think of anything recent that people praised that I didn't like. I mean, there's some stuff like the really diehard AEW fans. I mean, they love everything, but there's some stuff that I've seen where they just rave, and sometimes I look at it like, are we watching the same show? Like, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't anything out of this world, but it was okay. Uffman says that statue needs to be a super chat. You know what? I think you're right. I think we might have to make Dwayne Wade one of the new super chats. Which one, though? The first one that I showed or the actual statue? They look so much alike. Best always with the 20. Hey, best always. It's the best super chat, man. The $20 super chat drop. I think Dwayne Wade owed money to Jabba the Hutt. I think he owed money to somebody. That almost seems like revenge that somebody took out on him for that. I would have loved to have seen his reaction when it was actually unveiled. I didn't see the actual unveiling. I just saw the aftermath. Ian Noel with the $32 Judgment Day super chat. With the build-up for the Bloodline Civil War, other than... Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. With the build-up for the Bloodline Civil War at War Games, other than Roman against The Rock and the Usos against the Tongans, how do they keep this feud from getting stale until next year's WrestleMania? And where does that leave Solo and Jacob for WrestleMania? I don't know if they're going to be building Roman and Solo in a singles match or Roman and Jacob. Roman and Jacob sounds far more appealing to me than Roman and Solo. And if they do that, I don't know what Solo does. I don't know if Solo is even still with Jacob at that point. I don't know if the end result is going to be Solo being kicked out of his own bloodline and then Hikuleo comes in, if he's going to be introduced. I mean, there's been talk about him going to NXT, but do we really think they're going to kind of banish him to NXT while all the other Tongans and all the other Samoans are involved in this? And they're going to send him to NXT? He's going to end up being involved in this. How and when? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we get the Usos against the Guerrillas of Destiny. You know, it would be pretty cool. I'd be down for the Motor City Machine Guns against the Usos at WrestleMania. But I also don't think that Jey Uso should just go back to being a tag team wrestler. You know, Jey Uso, as far as him as a singles wrestler, like his matches, they don't do anything for me. But clearly he's super over. So I wouldn't just have him go back to doing tag matches. I mean, he still needs to do a mix of both, but he's a main event player on Monday Night Raw. He's a top singles guy. I don't think you could just do away with that. So, is he even in a tag team match at WrestleMania next year? Probably, but maybe he ends up in a singles match. Maybe we get Jey against some other member of the family. I don't know, but a tag team match seems more likely. Retro KOH. I also never liked Rollins' current character. He is not a visionary or a revolutionary. What is the vision? What revolution did he start? It's like he just says big words and cackles like an idiot. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I've been saying and thinking now this entire time that he's been doing this character. When he gets serious, that's when he's at his best. So whether it was with Punk or when he initially came back and he went after Reed, like that version of Seth is infinitely better than him coming out and cackling and throwing out big words that he just throws out for the sake of throwing them out. There is nothing visionary or revolutionary about Seth Rollins or this character. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you agree. Ian says, would it ruin the first moment if Sami hits Roman with a chair in the back a second time for a different reason than the first time? No, why would it ruin the first moment? It has nothing to do with the first moment. First moment is unaffected by anything they do going forward. It was a great moment. It got an unbelievable reaction. One of the biggest in Royal Rumble history. Nothing they do from here on out is going to negatively affect or ruin the first moment. Manuel Macias. I'm going to WrestleMania solo. It sucks I have to go to the show alone since I couldn't convince anybody to pay the ticket price. Hopefully it's fine. Yeah, and I'm sure you're not the only one too, because again, if you wanted to take a family, like a family of 3 or 4, good luck. You're going to have to sell your firstborn and mortgage your take a second mortgage on your fucking house at those prices. I mean, it is ridiculous. A lot of people going to get shut out of WrestleMania, but that's just the way it is. Supply and demand. As long as they know people are willing to pay those prices, they're not going to charge less. That's a highly in-demand event, especially in Vegas next year. Vegas is expensive to begin with. I mean, Vegas is not a cheap city. So it sucks, but at least you're going. I always enjoy Vegas. I don't think I'm going to be there, but I wouldn't mind going back to Vegas. Vegas and New Orleans. 2 of my favorite places. The Juliet says, AJ tweeted he did not want any Hall of Fames while active. Yeah, that's in reference to Fightful report. I believe it was Fightful, that TNA had inquired with WWE about AJ Styles being inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame Bound for Glory weekend this month, and WWE rejected the idea. We don't know why, but it could well be that it was AJ's choice. He said, I'm not ready for that. DEH Sire's Raw has been mid since it went to 2 hours. Well, I don't think it has to do with 2 hours so much as we're just in a lame duck period right now. We're in this weird little bubble before we go to Netflix. We being they. Well, I mean, we sit here and watch the show every week, so I feel like we're all part of it here, right? We're all along for the ride. We're in a weird, just kind of period of stagnation until Netflix and until we get into the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. They're working with a 3-hour roster on a 2-hour show. If the show was on a 2-hour basis permanently, you know, whenever they have the next draft, then they can kind of recalibrate things. But it's for 2 months and they're just like, all right, we'll just do the best we can with what we got here and we'll get through Survivor Series and everything will build towards Netflix. So I just feel like we're in a lame duck period right now. Alex Ochoa. WWE announced on X a 6-man tag for Crown Jewel, Roman and the Usos against Solo and God. So they announced the match on social media before Jey and Roman could actually come together on television. That's a weird choice. That's a very weird choice. But I guess if you go back to the end of that last Bloodline segment, Jey agreed with Jimmy that we just have to go it alone, you, me, and Roman, and he said yeet. So I guess that was his acceptance, I guess. That's still weird to me, though, but okay. I guess it's not a spoiler anymore, everybody. That's your 7th match for Crown Jewel. It's going to be Roman, Jimmy, and Jey against Solo, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. I wonder if that means Jacob is not making the trip, or if Jacob is and he's going to be in their corner. I don't know if Jacob will be there. BMF, you damn right, man. Turning off the lights and hiding it is a Halloween tradition. You gotta turn the lights out anyway on Halloween, right? You gotta sit in the dark. Project Libertad. The Dodgers were winning and all they needed was the support of some anime girls. Ever since that collaboration they did became unstoppable. I have no idea what you're talking about. I just know that the Mets had Grimace as our good luck charm for most of the season, but apparently the Dodgers have anime girls. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, I'd rather have Grimace than anime girls. Nick Grasso. It seems like they are teasing a Judgment Day split, or at least the Balor split, because he's been distant from the Judgment Day since Bad Blood, and he did not help Dominic tonight, so are we finally heading for a Judgment Day split? I hope so. I mean, it's pretty clear they don't have anything compelling for them anymore. They lost the heart and soul of that group. I mean, it was never going to be the same without Rhea and Priest. So it could be the beginning of the end, and if it is, I'm fine with that. Jeremy Rose with the 12. How much longer is WWE and Saudi's contract? Do you think WWE will continue the Saudi shows when it ends or move on? Seems like the Saudi events are a hindrance to the normal shows. Well, we got a number of years left. It was a 10-year deal that they signed in 2018. So there is at least 4 more years, I guess, right? Four more years on the deal. It's not over anytime soon. And they reportedly get $50 million per show. So they do 2 of them a year. That's $100 million a year to do 2 shows. I don't think they look at it as too much of a hindrance. That's a $100 million hindrance. I think they could tolerate it.
I love you, Solo. You are my tribal.
And do I think that they're going to extend the deal or excuse me, or continue it? Yeah, I do. So don't be surprised if they extend the deal even longer.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't be surprised. Fuck that tree. That's right, for 4 more years. 4 more years. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now. The deal has 4 more years. Don't be surprised if well before those 4 years are up, you hear about an extension on that deal. Because I don't see Endeavor and TKO and WWE giving up that kind of money. I don't see it. Don Juan. Why are pizza boxes rectangular, but the pizza is circular, yet the slices are triangular? Well, I mean, the pizza boxes, I don't know about the pizza boxes by you. They're not really rectangular here, they're square, but that's actually a really good point. Square box, circular pizza, triangular slices. Unless you have that Chicago deep dish garbage, I think that's square. I can't answer that for you, I don't know. That's a really good question, I don't have a good answer for you. Jeremy says, unfortunately, the Padres had Dodgers beat but choked at home. Now we got to deal with this bullshit Dodger team winning it all. Yes, you do. Because they're going to win. Now, I had them winning it all in 6. I at least gave the Yankees some life here. But the Yankees are choking hard. I think they're going to get swept right out of the World Series. That's what I think. They're letting me down. I had them in 6. A good thing I didn't have any money on this game or on this series. Well, Steve, that's a good point. Do you ever try folding a circular box? I have not. Chicago deep dish is not a pizza. It is a casserole. Says Big G. Prince Vegeta, bigger TNA mistake. Not crowning Joe Hendry this weekend or not giving Monty Brown the title in 05 from Jeff Jarrett. Well, I mean, in hindsight, I guess Monty Brown ended up leaving the business. But I mean, at that time, that was a questionable decision. I think Monty Brown could have been I think he could have been a much bigger draw for them. I'm going to go with Monty Brown because he could have been such a big star. He was so charismatic. And whether it was in TNA or whether it was in WWE, I think he would have gone on to be a big star. And he had to leave. As I recall, and I could be wrong about this, but I think his sister died. And he left the business, I think, to help take care of her kids and raise her kids. Which, of course, I mean, family first. But that was the reason why he left. He didn't leave because he just didn't like it anymore. He didn't leave because of an injury or some kind of scandal or anything. He left because of personal issues. But I think he would have gone on to be a pretty big star. So I'm going to go Monty Brown. Jeremy says, when is Pierce going to have a heart attack on Raw? I don't know, but I'm worried for the guy's health, man. He's turning red. You see how red he was turning? He's screaming. He's always, I need a drink. This guy is going to drop one of these weeks on the show. And nobody's going to care. Like, the wrestlers are going to step over his freaking carcass. Nobody's even going to care about this guy. Uffman says, the unveiling of the statue was pretty badass, and then you see the statue and its ass. Dwayne Wade actually praised the statue, probably drank a lot at the after party. He probably just wanted to be nice about it. I mean, they worked on it. I think it took 2 months, right? Is what they said. 200 hours they spent working on it. Imagine working on something for 200 hours and that is the end result. Like, how many hours of your life did you waste to produce that? Josh Worthington. Hi, Solo. I have been struggling to sleep tonight, so I thought I would pop in and contribute to your commitment for the wrestling community. Thanks, guys. It is 4 a.m., he says, in the UK. Holy shit. That's I was going to say that's pretty late, but it's actually pretty early. Well, hopefully I will, I guess, help you get back to sleep, I guess. I'll take the compliment, I suppose. Jeremy says, with Usos and Tongans at WrestleMania, Solo against Jacob, Roman against The Rock. Boy, it's just going to be a bloodline party up and down this card at WrestleMania, isn't it? Well, if they do Roman and Rock, then we can do Cody and Randy. Retro says, I don't know if you like soccer or not, but I met a girl who played goalie once. She was a real keeper. You're not Sidra. I know you're trying, but I think Sidra's got you beat. I don't watch soccer. I did play soccer when I was younger, like very young, but I don't watch soccer. Or I guess as they call it anywhere but America, football. Wink the Cosmic Grandma. At this current moment, who is the best wrestler in the world in your opinion? Did you see Takeshita against Josh Alexander? How was it? I did not see Takeshita and Josh Alexander. I did see Takeshita and Mike Bailey. And that was a pretty freaking great match. Best wrestler in the world. Boy, everyone's going to have a different answer about that. It's hard to vote against someone like Will Ospreay, though. Because every time he goes out there, he has an incredible match, regardless of who he's in the ring with. So Ospreay is probably at the top of my list. Takeshita is also up pretty high. Trying to think who else. Like on the WWE side right now, man, you know, Sheamus has been the best consistently good performer, I feel like, for a while now. McIntyre was killing it. He would have to be up there near the top as far as WWE goes right now. But for WWE, I'd have to go Gunther. So I'd probably go Gunther and Will Ospreay, I think, are the best in the world right now. I think those are your guys right there. Project Libertad, Jey Uso is like Orange Cassidy to me. I don't get how crowds can cheer for these guys. They're very easily pleased. Very easily pleased. Sometimes I don't get it either, but you know what? Whatever works, works. If it works, you just gotta capitalize. Look, people say that about Joe Hendry. They look at Joe Hendry, they're like, he's not much to look at. His ring work is okay at best, and I think his ring work is fine. I mean, he's not a dynamic performer who's doing all kinds of crazy, fancy, flashy stuff. But I've heard those complaints about him, and he's the most over babyface in all of TNA and one of the most over babyfaces in the entire business. He was splitting time there for a while between two companies, including WWE. And I guarantee you, if he gets a cameo and comes out in the Royal Rumble, enough people are going to know who he is. They're going to go nuts for him when he comes out. Some people don't understand it. They look at him and they go, I don't get it. Why is he so over? Different people are over for different reasons. You never know what's going to catch on. It could be a theme song. It could be someone's personality and charisma gets them over, their promos more than their ring work, or it could be their ring work in spite of their promos that get them over. You never know. Pisco95, thoughts on Halloween Havoc? Tag team match was good. The tag team match was good. I'm not done with the show yet. I thought Tony D and Obafemi also was fun. So I will have to check out the stuff I have not yet finished watching. But that stuff was good. I enjoyed that. That Joe guy. Glad to hear the live stream tonight while recovering from surgery last week. Just became a channel member. Thank you, that Joe guy. I hope it wasn't anything too serious. So I hope you're healing well, and I'm very happy to have you as a channel member. Go make sure you check out that members only Q&A. 2 parts from last week. Manuel Macias, do you think Cena is facing Gunther at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam? Are you okay with him getting title 17? I wonder if they will do it even if it is a short reign. I'm okay with him getting 17 if they tell a good story. Then I'm okay with it. And I don't expect him to, nor should he hold that title for very long. But just to get it, yeah, I think there's a story that you could tell there, and I wouldn't be upset about it if they tell the story the right way and with the right person. I think that him wrestling Gunther, that's the match I had penciled in for SummerSlam. I don't do it at WrestleMania, but I could see them thinking WrestleMania is the right stage to do it. And look, if they want Cena to have a run with the title, then it's a lot more likely that he will win it at WrestleMania and hold it through maybe the summer before dropping it. But if it's me, I save that for SummerSlam. And I put him in the ring with somebody else and give him a big win at WrestleMania because he hasn't won a singles match in 7 years. 7 years! You can't just throw him in a World Championship match. I mean, yes, he could win the Royal Rumble and then he's automatically in a World Championship match at WrestleMania. And he's John Cena, so of course he's one of the all-time legends, and him getting a World Championship match, a lot of people aren't going to second guess it. But I just think there's a story, there's an initial story that you tell about him trying to get back to his winning ways. And then you tell the story about him going after number 17. You've got him for a full year. Why blow through that at WrestleMania? Don Juan, are zebras color white with black stripes, or are zebra colors black with white stripes? I think they're black with white stripes. I think. I don't know. You're making me rethink everything I've ever known in my life here. George Seckman with the $20 super chat. What happens first? Adam Pearce starts straight up drinking on Raw, or Nick Aldis gets Mickie James to do a cameo to smack Chelsea Green in the mouth? I think we're a few weeks away from Adam Pearce going on a bender on live television. Guarantee you we're going to start seeing him. He's going to have a flask. Like in his jacket pocket, he's going to pull out a flask. This man is we're going to have the Raw intervention of Adam Pearce in a few months. All the wrestlers get together. They say, okay, look, we got to get together here. Heels and baby faces, right? They come together in the locker room. They don't get along. They're insulting each other. We got to get on the same page here. Okay, look, I know we don't like each other. I know that we all have issues. And there's at least half a dozen people in this locker room whose ass I want to kick. But our general manager needs us. We have to have a sit down. We have to have an intervention. Maybe we can get an intervention as entertaining as the one on The Sopranos. See, that would be good television. But then you would have people who would be offended by... Everyone's offended by everything these days. I mean, you can't win. I think it could be very entertaining. Anyway, George, thank you, brother, for the 20. I appreciate it. Alcoholic Adam, says Retro KOH. Alcoholic Adam, yes, indeed. He's under a lot of stress. That's what happens. People drink, they smoke. Poor guy. Arabian Night with the $2 says, prayers for Chris Bay. I was at the taping. It looked bad. Yeah, I saw the video of Vikingo's injury, but there was no video of what happened to Bay. The only thing that I saw were photos of him already laying on the mat being surrounded by people. So I'm not even sure what the move was. Maybe you could shed some light on that. But yeah, it looked bad, and all the reports and the messages that I've seen all day from people indicate that it's pretty bad. So, best to him. What's my favorite candy? I don't eat candy anymore. But when I did, I was a big Twizzlers guy. I used to eat Twizzlers, and God, what was my... I used to have sour straws occasionally. Twix, Snickers. When I could have that stuff, I can't have it anymore. But Snickers and Twix were probably my favorite candy bars. I used to have Milky Way. Milky Way was very good. Never had any Butterfinger though. Was never really into the whole peanut butter candy stuff. One thing I will tell you that I absolutely hate, and I don't understand how people eat it, I think it's vile and disgusting, is cotton candy. I don't know how people eat that. I really don't. You're eating hair, okay? You're eating hair. You don't like it when you get a hair in your mouth, do you? Right? Oh, God, you got that fucking hair in your mouth. Why do people like cotton candy? I'll never understand it. Never. Damian, yes. That's exactly what it is. Well, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups things. Okay, I will say the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, those are very good. And that's like an old wrestler trick. I've heard wrestlers talk about this before. Where when you eat them, I don't know if this is... They swear by it. I guess it's true. But when a wrestler was about to go to the ring, or if they were going to like be part of a photo shoot in the back, like Lex Luger would do this all the time, apparently. He would eat a bunch of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and apparently it helps with your vascularity. So your veins start to bulge. Never tried it myself. I don't know. I'm not going to go out and buy a whole bunch of them and try it, but apparently that's a thing. So a lot of wrestlers would sometimes eat Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Those are very good. Again, I haven't had them in years, but those are very good. We have smashed the goal for Be the Booker, so we did make the goal. Thank you for that. I'm very happy to see that. I feel like it would be so disappointing to start a brand new week without Be the Booker, so it is time, though, to go ahead and Be the Booker, but first, we have Cameron Spencer with a $4.99 super chat. Did you see the viral photo on X of two prisoners playing NBA 2K25 on a flat screen TV in their cells? I hit the floor laughing when I saw it. Well, there's Cameron with all of his usual things that never actually happened. You have a very vivid imagination, Cameron. Justin G has stayed awake specifically for Be the Booker. Well, boy, I guess we better get to it then. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Let's not waste any more time then and get right into this. Special spooky Halloween edition of Be the Booker. Be the Booker, that's right. All right, and we begin with the two-man power trip. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H, who at one point had the WWF title, the Intercontinental title, and the tag team titles. Didn't have them all for more than maybe a month, but they had them. A dominant tag team. Who will they be facing? Two-man power trip is going to take on Braun Strowman and a 9-year-old boy. You know what? I'm going to give it the bell because remember Austin during that run. He would just beat the crap out of people with those chairs. Remember what he did to the Hardys and Lita? Oh, I'd love to see him do that to little Nicholas here. Can you imagine Stone Cold just turned heel, right? They're trying to get the fans to boo him. Takes that fucking chair and just starts wailing away on little Nicholas as Braun Strowman is all tied up in the ropes. He can't do anything about it. The only thing is, like, if Austin did that these days, the fans would cheer and they would say one more time. You know it's true. You know I'm telling the truth when I say that. Nicholas is 19. I don't give a shit that I don't care how old Nicholas is now. In this photo at that WrestleMania, he was 9 years old. We're not booking 19-year-old Nicholas. We're booking 9-year-old Nicholas. All right, women's Be the Booker. Stone Cold would still be in jail. Yeah, but then he would be released on his own recognizance like he always used to be on Raw whenever they would throw him in jail. He would always find his way back. All right, Gigi Dolan. I saw Gigi Dolan. Wasn't Gigi Dolan in a promo on Halloween Havoc? Is she coming back? I think Gigi Dolan may be on her way back. Yeah, can't believe that. That was 10 years ago. 10 years. Lots happened in these 10 years. Gigi Dolan against China. No, Nick, that's a good point. I have to add Zarya to Be the Booker here. We have Julia's in here and Stephanie Vicaire is in here. But Zarya is not in here. I'm going to have to add her. She looks like a total badass. One more to go. We got one more match to go here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, yes. Pentagon. Let's call him what he is. Pentagon Jr. Pentagon Jr. It's in our main event here tonight. Penta had a great singles run in Lucha Underground. He's not just a tag team guy. Penta could go to WWE right now if he wanted to. I think he's going to wait for his brother, though. And Penta's going to go one-on-one with Jacob Fatu. How's that for a match, right? Everybody was going nuts last week with the tease about Jacob and Braun Breaker. How about Jacob and Penta? There's a match right there. That's a main event match that I'd like to see. Hell yeah. No sweep, but we did pretty good there, I'd say. We did good. HOG. Yeah, well, I'd love to book that for House of Glory. You know, we've had, in the past, we had Jacob and Penta on the same show at House of Glory. They were in the building. They were on our card. They just weren't facing each other. Now I missed my chance. We missed our chance to book it. Maybe one day. And Sidro says, per PW Insider, Goldberg will not be in Saudi Arabia. Well, I told you guys on the podcast this weekend that Goldberg has a luncheon that he's attending. He is being inducted into the Georgia-Florida Football Hall of Fame. And so the ceremony, the luncheon, whatever, it's at noon Eastern on Friday. So not impossible for him to attend and then immediately fly to Saudi, but it's very unlikely. So yes, I would not expect to see Goldberg in Saudi this time around. Yes, I figured you meant not and not bot. As soon as you said bot, by the way, Tony Khan, his ears perked up. Can't say bot around Tony Khan. Thinks the bot army is going to be coming after him. Who's someone from the 90s that I would book in House of Glory today? Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, you kind of walked right into that one, you know. We'd roll out the red carpet for Bret, man. Whatever he needs. Bret Hart flying to the luncheon, breaking news. Bret Hart's going to fly to that luncheon. You know, remember when Bret got knocked out at the WrestleMania brunch in '93 in Las Vegas? He got knocked out at the podium by Lex Luger, who came out of nowhere with the metal plate in his arm. And he gave him a big running forearm and knocked him out. Bret Hart is going to crash the Goldberg luncheon. And he's going to do to Goldberg what Lex Luger did to him. So we got one more live stream to go here for the month of October. It will be Halloween Eve. That's Wednesday night. It's the Fright Night episode of Dynamite. One thing that we're getting that I'm actually really looking forward to is Swerve Strickland's going to go one-on-one with Shelton Benjamin. I think that's going to be a banger. So I am very much looking forward to that. And I hope you will join me for the final stream here in October. Friday night, SmackDown is a taped show, but I will be live anyway. We'll talk about the final SmackDown before Crown Jewel. I will not be going live after Crown Jewel because I will not be here. As soon as Crown Jewel is over and I am done watching it, I have to be somewhere else. So the Crown Jewel review will not be live on YouTube. It will be on Sound of 886 on Sunday, so just be aware of that. And then eventually it'll migrate to YouTube, but always good to have the support on the audio shows. It helps out a lot when you download and stream the shows from there. So, and again, that content goes up first. You get it first on audio before you get it anywhere else. And some of that content does not go to YouTube. So check out episode 885 on that note. Just went up yesterday. Another great show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Innuendo says, what is a horrible match that you wish was a great one? I really wish that first AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match at WrestleMania 34 was a lot better than it was. There's a lot of hype around that. I was there for that one. That was disappointing. That one was very disappointing. Look, I wish Jimmy and Jey Uso went out and had a much better match at WrestleMania this year, because that match sucked. So yeah, there's a bunch of different matches we could look back on and go, man, I wish that match was so much better than it was. Warrior Hogan 2. I had no interest in seeing that to begin with, so I wish they didn't do that match at all. Goldberg and Brock at WrestleMania 20, yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one. You know what actually was disappointing, and I think they knew it. I think Eddie was pissed at the end of it. The Eddie Guerrero-Chris Benoit match from the first One Night Stand. That was disappointing. That was disappointing. But they also, at that point, and Eddie, clearly Eddie physically was not at his best. They were not in their physical prime anymore. They were hurting. They had all kinds of injuries. But I think it's Benoit and Eddie, and so people had high expectations, and I remember that being underwhelming. Oh, Sting Hogan, yeah, of course. The first Sting. Well, that wasn't the first Sting Hogan match. Technically, they wrestled on Nitro in '95, but that was the night that Shawn Michaels went down in his match with Owen Hart with his post-concussion syndrome on Nitro. At the same time, Sting was wrestling Hogan for the first time. But yeah, that Sting Hogan Starrcade match, my God, of course. Rock Austin 1. Rock Austin 1 was actually a very good match. I think a lot of people shit on it because WrestleMania 17 was the more epic of their matches, but I thought Rock Hogan 1 at WrestleMania 15 was actually a really good match. Not as good as their Backlash match, but it was still a pretty good match. Innuendo says, have you ever thought about doing a Be the Booker series where you go back to old shows or storylines and change it up? Well, that's not really... I guess you can call it Be the Booker. It's not really Be the Booker, but I've thought about it. Maybe one of these days if I have time. It's just very time consuming if it becomes a regular segment. And I don't know if the appetite is there for it, but I'd consider it. Best match of all time. Wow. Bret Hart, Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. Oh, God. Undertaker, Big Boss Man, WrestleMania 15. That match was fucking god-awful. Oh, my God, did that suck. Razor and Brett, Royal Rumble should have been better. Razor had a knee injury going into that match. He probably should not have even been in the ring. So I think that probably had a lot to do with why that match may have come off that way. And it wasn't bad. It just wasn't that great. But I remember that he had a knee injury going into that match. So I'm sure that hurt the match. Oh, Matthew, you're right. How could I forget? Orton and Edge. Remember Charlie Caruso standing in the ring between them in the empty warehouse? It just might be the greatest wrestling match ever. And then they turn and they look at her like, what? What'd you just say? Arabian Night. The $5 super chat here. Most underutilized talent in the business today. To me, it is Montez Ford. He is money as a singles, especially as a heel. Well, you don't know that. I think he can be too, but we don't know that because he's never been given the chance. His deal is reportedly up in December. I think how could he not be? He's got to be genuinely frustrated. I was frustrated for him when it looked like they were going to give him a chance last year, and then they just pulled back and they didn't do it. So if he's not content with the spot that he's in, can you really blame him? Can you really argue with him? If I'm WWE, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I keep him happy. He doesn't go anywhere. And if he really wants to do more as a single, even if they keep the Street Profits together, it's long overdue. I don't know why it's taken this long, right? Give him a shot. Give him a shot. There's something there. I said years ago that one day we need to have the money pairing of Montez and Bianca doing stuff on TV together as heels. And I don't know if they're going to turn Bianca. I almost feel like they look at Bianca as like their female John Cena. She's got so many fans and she does so many, charity events and she's so well liked. But I just think, man, her and Montez Ford is like a heel couple combo on TV, talking about just how great they are and how much better and more athletic they are than everybody else. And just, thinking that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, people, I feel like it would work and people would boo and they would buy into it because you look at them and they look like they are the best, right? They physically, they look great and they're super athletic, and so they can back up everything they say, and I think that drives people nuts. And I think they could be great heels. I don't know why they're not giving him a shot. I really don't. Devin from NJ, was Triple H becoming COO and taking creative control over NXT did change and enhance his legacy the same way that the second half of HBK's career did for him? Well, I mean, it's two different things. HBK had two different eras of his in-ring career. It's like part one and part two, basically. Pre and post back injury. Triple H, it's different. It's not an in-ring thing with him. You separate it in two parts, his in-ring career and his out-of-the-ring career. Shawn Michaels had two different in-ring parts to his career, and now he's carving out a third because now he's in charge of NXT. And that's his baby now. And I think it will be for many more years. So Shawn Michaels is going to end up having like three distinctly different eras of his career. Triple H I look at it as him having two distinctly different eras of his. It definitely enhanced his legacy. The guy is basically running the company now. I mean, did it enhance his legacy? I mean, of course. And look, I'm not taking away the talent that he has, but let's be honest here. Marrying Stephanie McMahon also greatly enhanced his career. He's not sitting in the chair that he's in right now that Vince used to occupy if he doesn't marry into the family. I'm sorry, but he's not. So he benefited greatly from that as well. The Winston Slip. Favorite Cena match and favorite Cena movie. Cena was really funny in that Ricky Stanicky movie. I might have to go with that one. Favorite Cena match is Cena and Punk at Money in the Bank in 2011 in Chicago. And maybe the second one, I might actually go with Cena and AJ Styles at SummerSlam in 2016 in Brooklyn. Wink the Cosmic Grandma with another super chat. Mount Rushmore of Tony Khan's worst screw-ups with an over wrestler or tag team like what happened with Wardlow. Oh, I don't know. There's only 4 spots on Mount Rushmore. It's not enough. I mean, look, Santana and Ortiz were earmarked for a tag team title run. Santana's father, I think, died right before it was going to happen. So he had to go away for a little bit. And when they came back, that was it. They missed their spot. They never went back to them, and they never held tag team gold. And that had a lot to do, I think, with the discontent that Santana ended up having, because I mean, there were a lot of issues there. And obviously he had a falling out with Ortiz, but he wanted to do more. He wanted to do more as a single, and that's why he left. But there was so much more they could have done with those guys as a team, and they dropped the ball with them. Plain and simple, they dropped the ball with Proud and Powerful. And it's not as egregious of an example as the Wardlow one. Wardlow is the worst. I mean, the Wardlow thing is just the absolute worst. Because they had a real, genuine star that they were... I mean, it was right there. It was like the 1 yard line. And they dropped the ball. And they've never been able to get even close to the end zone again with him. Innuendo. What is Jacob Fatu's first feud? I wonder if it's going to be Solo Sikoa. I don't know. Solo? Roman? Probably one of those two. They got to do Bron, but that's probably a couple of years from now. They're not even on the same brand right now. Harry, thank you. Yeah, Arabian Night, he was at the taping. Chris Bay did have surgery. It was neck related, so I think one could surmise from that he broke his neck, but that has not been announced officially. So we're waiting on more concrete details on that, but it doesn't sound good. Leatherface, yes. Crown Jewel is on Saturday. It's a Saudi show, so it's got a 1 o'clock Eastern start. So right in the middle of the day. Dorian Moore says, I wish Metro Boomin would do WWE theme music. I wish anybody but Def Rebel would do WWE theme music. I wish Rebecca Black would do WWE theme music. Go look her up. She's the girl that sang Friday. Power Spying Games. Fanatics WWE shirts suck. I should have brought my standard Austin 316 shirt sooner. Yeah, Fanatics is garbage. Everybody complains about it, not just their wrestling merch, like their merch in general. I don't know how they ended up getting such a stranglehold on the market, but I mean, they're just completely dominant. And everybody complains about their merch. Poppy. Yeah, let's get Poppy. Let's get Poppy to do WWE theme music. Please don't remind us of Friday. You didn't like the movie? Come on, man. Everybody loves Debo. I remember, man, Austin was so over. I still have the original Austin 316 shirt, but he had so many different shirts. And I had one that said Other Side Jackass. And then I had a non-WWE shirt, but it was a South Park shirt. But it was like a wrestling parody. This is when South Park was at its like absolute peak. And it was like a wrestling parody shirt, and it had the word ass on it. I think it was somebody in the crowd holding up a sign that said, whoop ass or something. I just remember going into class that day, and it was a physics class. And This guy did not want me wearing this shirt. And he told me I had to leave the class and I had to change. Of course, I didn't have a second shirt. What do you think? I come with a fucking change of clothes? What do I have? Like wardrobe changes between each class? So he wanted me to leave and change my shirt. And I said no. And he's like, well, you can't be here. I go, well, you're not going to remove me. So I don't know. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. It's the only time I ever had a real issue with a teacher. I did not like him. I did not like him at all. And I didn't give a shit. So I remember I came back the next week. I wore the shirt again. And he was like, oh, I'm going to let your father know. And I'm like, go ahead. Go ahead. He's going to laugh in your face because he loves the shirt. He got a kick out of the shirt. But man, I'm sure a lot of kids got in a lot of trouble back then for wearing Austin merch or crotch chopping people. I'm telling you, man, the Attitude Era got a lot of people in trouble. That's for sure. the time when Solomonster was the original Stone Cold. Yeah, well, I wasn't cracking beers in class. That I wasn't doing. Jeremy Rose says, what do you think of Cross's work recently? I think it's a little more interesting than what he was doing before. I'm still not terribly interested in what the Final Testament does when I see them on my TV screen. But like Cross's promo work tonight, the segments that we saw him in, that was a little more interesting. There's something there with him. They just haven't fully tapped into it yet. And it's not like they haven't given him a lot of chances, but I feel like maybe he's in the process of trying to find the right fit for the character. I don't know. There's something there. It still hasn't completely tapped into it yet, though. Doing the Val Venus dance back then. I'm telling you, man, back then you had a lot of wrestling fans like in school, and even the ones who didn't would always come in the next day and they would ask, oh, did you see what happened with the NWO stuff on WCW? I go, aha, you watch, right? You were making fun of wrestling before, you prick. But you watch. There were a lot of people, a lot of kids who secretly watched. That's when you know wrestling's cool. Even they couldn't avoid like tuning in to see what was going on. And then we would like kick each other's asses in the hallway in between classes. I put a sharpshooter once on a kid in the hallway. Good times, good times. Insecure Skeletor. Since Halloween is Thursday, are you doing anything special? Also, what happened? Happy early Halloween solo. Am I doing anything special for Halloween? No, I'd like to maybe watch some movies if I have time. I'm usually so busy. I'm probably going to be working on notes for the podcast, and Saturday is going to be a very busy day, and I'm not going to be able to work on too much stuff that day. I'm hoping I can catch maybe a couple of Halloween movies, but no, I have no special plans. Thursday is the one day this week I'm not streaming. Or I shouldn't say streaming, but doing a show. Of course, we have a TNT tomorrow night. That's not on my channel, though. But I'm doing a show every day this week except Thursday. I need at least my one day. I need some respite. That's what I want my Halloween to be. That's how my school was when the Shield broke up 10 years ago. I remember where I was when Hogan turned heel in WCW. I didn't see it live, but the next day, everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about it. They couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I heard. Arabian Night says, Jason X is my go-to Halloween night movie. Best kill scene ever. If you know, you know. Oh, I know. I've talked about it here before. I've talked about it here before, man. The frozen face kill. That is the best kill in the entire series. Followed by the sleeping bag kill. What about you guys? Are you guys watching any of you who are into horror movies? Any recommendations or any horror films that you plan on watching on Halloween? No, I did not go to summer school. It was camp. For the record. It was a summer camp, and everybody was talking about Hogan turning heel the next day. Do I like Jason Goes to Manhattan? I do. It's not my favorite of them. The best kill in that movie is we'll call it the boxing scene on the roof. Again, if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The Batman. Oh boy, you're trying to get me to watch the Batman on how I'm gonna watch. It's gonna take the whole day to watch it. That movie is like 6 hours long. You want me to watch the Batman on Halloween? Gonna check out the Terrifier movie, Terrifier 3 this week. Yeah, let me know how that is. I didn't see the second one. I saw the first one. Austin watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. Yeah, that was a freaky movie. You know what the first one I ever saw was? I was laying in bed one night, flipping around on cable channels, and it was like 1 a.m. And I didn't even know at the time what Texas Chainsaw Massacre was. But I see Matthew McConaughey, and I recognize him, and Renee Zellweger was in the movie. And it was one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes. This one was from 95, I think. I saw that one before I saw the original. And it's not better than the original, but it's such just a twisted, demented movie. Yeah, it's just, Grant is gonna binge watch the Saw series this week. What are they up to now? Like 11, 12? Does the book of Saw, does that count as one of the 11 movies? Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. Yeah, I was never an Ash guy. Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, the original Hills Have Eyes was good. Of course, you can't go wrong with The Thing. Anything John Carpenter, you can't go wrong with. The Thing. There was a movie. It's not very popular. It was supposed to be something bigger, and then it ended up just becoming kind of like a Showtime or Cinemax thing. But it was a movie called Body Bags that came out in '93, and it's like 3 stories in one. Basically, it's a Carpenter movie. Not the best of all of his movies, but I enjoyed it. I don't know how you guys would even find it. I mean, maybe somebody uploaded it to YouTube. Maybe it's on DVD somewhere, but it's called Body Bags, so I enjoyed that one. Haunted Hill. The House on Haunted Hill, yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, how about Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein? Ever see that one? You should watch that one. It's got Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman. Larry Talbot, which is what CM Punk named Larry the dog after. He looks just like Larry Talbot, the Wolfman. There's another Abbott and Costello movie if you're into the old school, like black and white movies. And it's more comedy than horror. It's not a horror movie, but they did a movie called Hold That Ghost. It's It's one of my favorites. Monster Squad. Tales from the Crypt. Yes. Creature from the Black Lagoon I never saw.
I am the Lord.
Oh, there's a creature from Winnipeg on my screen. Fuck that tree. Thank you, Matt. The fact that it is going to be 80 degrees on Halloween is crazy. I am Groot. Where do you live? Actually, I think even here in New York, it might get back up into the 70s later this week. Where do you live that it's going to be 80 on Halloween? Matt says, I remember hearing Hostel was super scary, giving people heart attacks. When I watched it, I got the best sleep I ever had. Hostel's another one. I mean, now you're getting into like the torture porn stuff. It's hit or miss with me. I was never a fan of the Hostel movies. I saw the first one. It just wasn't for me. I made the mistake of seeing the Human Centipede. I actually heard, and I am never going to watch it, but I actually heard the second one is even worse than and when I say worse, I mean in terms of just how grotesque it is, worse than the first one, which I find hard to believe. But apparently they did a second one, and it's even worse than the first. I mean, there were points of the first one where I physically almost threw up. Like I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I have a pretty good tolerance for these things, but you know, you just get to a point where it's like, what are we doing here? You know, like what are we? Why? Is this really necessary? Who thinks of these things? There's a third one? They made a third one? Well, I'm not seeing it. Uffman says, whatever happened to that Bret Hart movie where he played an actual hitman? I don't know. Wasn't Corey Feldman supposed to be in that movie? It's probably out by now, but I didn't hear anything about it. No, Sidra, I never saw Truth or Dare. I don't even know what it's about. I used to watch Double Dare when I was a kid. Todd Warner, did you watch all of the Cloverfield movies? Yes. So I watched... Oh, don't get me started on this. Oh, you're going to get me in rant mode here. So Cloverfield, the original, I mean, you guys know. I love that movie. It's one of my favorites. And I was really looking forward to a sequel. And we still, to this day, have not gotten a proper sequel to that fucking movie. Supposedly, I remember reading a couple of years ago, J.J. Abrams may have said something. They were or are working. This is like post-COVID, like after COVID hit. This is not like the world pre-COVID and post-COVID. That they were working on a proper actual sequel to the original movie. I've heard nothing about it. It's been 2 years. I've heard nothing about it. So I don't know if we're ever actually going to get it or not. But 10 Cloverfield Lane was never supposed to be a Cloverfield movie. It was a cash grab. It was I forgot the actual name of the movie. It had nothing to do with Cloverfield. And then they said, "Oh, we'll give it a Cloverfield name." And that's bullshit. It was a really good movie though. John Goodman is great in that movie. They lost me in the last 15 minutes. It went off the rails. But that's not a real Cloverfield movie. And then we had the Cloverfield Paradox, which they announced it was at the Super Bowl, right? A couple of years ago. They said, and I was like, holy shit. Like, of course, I'm like, I gotta see this, right? Because it was debuting like at midnight. It was such a quick thing. It was like, hey, there's this new Cloverfield movie. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, at midnight. It's going to be on Netflix. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing. And then I watched it and I'm like, this is not a Cloverfield movie. This is the second time now that I have been bamboozled by these people. And then in the last 5 seconds of the movie, you see the monster. Sorry for the spoiler, but I just saved you 90 minutes of your life. And I was so pissed. And I'm like, we're not going to get a proper sequel. I'm like, it's this. You're giving everybody blue balls, expecting that you're going to give it to them, and then you don't give it to them. Like, I'm done with it. You're not gonna sucker me into this anymore. I will say though that the monster did look pretty badass at the end there. But yeah, I saw them all. And I don't know what's going on with the next one, if they're going to do it or not, but whatever. Whatever. One of my favorite movie-going experiences, though, was going to see the first Cloverfield on the big screen. Saw it 3 times. Almost got sick the first time because of the shaky cam, so I took Dramamine the next 2 times, and I was good to go. Because I went with 3 different people. Actually, the first time I went with 2 girls that I worked with. And then I went with 1 friend, and then I went with my brother. So that was fun. I think, I would say one of the most fun movie-going experiences I ever had also was Freddy versus Jason. People literally stood up and applauded. They gave it a standing ovation when the movie was over. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I saw Get Out, right? That was the Jordan Peele one. I saw Get Out. Get Out was very good. I enjoyed that. I haven't seen the Quiet Place movies. Are they worth watching? I was in a throuple. I guess I was in a throuple. Let me tell you something. I was looking forward to that movie for so long. I was following the ARG and all the viral stuff, which ended up having nothing to do with the fucking movie, which was disappointing. But we went to the biggest theater they had. It was at the Regal Ewok in Times Square. If you are familiar with Times Square, because when I worked in the city, I used to just go see all the movies in Times Square. And I would either end up at the AMC Empire 25, and then right across the street from the AMC, they have the Regal. And I think it's still the same way. So the Regal was the one that was showing Cloverfield. And the biggest theater they had, I think, was 500 seats. And they even had people from the movie, TJ Miller and some other people. They were all the way down in the front row. We didn't know until the very end when they stood up that they were actually watching the movie with us in the theater. So we get there. It's the big theater. And I'm like, we got to sit in the middle. And I told one girl, I said, I want you on one side of me, and then you could sit on the other side of me. And I was in the middle between them. And so the whole theater fills up, and I'm watching the movie, and it's like midway through the movie, I start feeling nauseous. And I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm sitting in the dead center row. Okay. I'm in the dead center of this row, and I got a girl on either side of me, and I'm about to just lose my fucking lunch. And I'm like, this can't be happening to me. I'm just like, I've been waiting so long to see this movie. So I said, all right, if I close my eyes for a little bit, I'll listen to the movie. If I close my eyes, hopefully I'll be okay. And it was close. It would have been bad. Like, there would not have been time for me to like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, and like get out of the row. It would have been a bad scene. Okay, let's just put it that way. But thankfully, I was able to calm myself down, and everything was okay. But yeah, I learned my lesson. I guess whatever, just the way they shot the movie, it just got to me. So I said, well, if I'm gonna go back, I got to make sure I pop a pill before I go see the movie. So it worked out okay. It's the way they shoot some of these movies. It's the same way with video games. One of the reasons I don't really play games anymore is because I can't play them for longer than maybe 20 or 30 minutes. I start to get nauseous, and I don't know why. There's an old game, a computer game, Wolfenstein, Enemy Territory. If you go back on the channel here, by the way, it's an old Sound Off gamer. I did a bunch of them for Enemy Territory. And the game is still active. There's still people. I have servers. I punch in the IP address. I get connected to the server. I drop in every now and then just to see. It's a game from like 2003. It got abandoned in the middle of development, and they just made it free for everybody, and you play multiplayer online. Anyway, and it's like Access and Allied Soldiers. I pop in every now and then, and I start playing, and I can't play for more than 30 minutes. I start to get nauseous. I don't know. It may be something with my eyes, maybe. I don't know. I said I can't play games anymore. My gaming career is over. My gaming career is over. Let me catch up with some of these super chats here. We got Retro KOH. The Nun. Saw it in the theater with a lady friend. Fell asleep midway through. Garbage movie. All right, well, don't see The Nun. Don't see The Nun. Power Spying Games. Dodgers had Ice Cube perform. Yankees got Fat Joe. Dorian Moore. Why do so many people in WWE do the same finisher? I don't know, but it's very lazy. Everybody does the spear. When did that become a thing? When did it become a thing that everybody does the spear? All right, Goldberg did the spear. Then Rhino had the gore. Then Edge took the spear, and he did it for many years. And Roman Reigns did the spear. And Jey Uso does the spear. And there's a bunch of other people that do the spear. When did this begin? West Coast James is a channel member, get this, for 41 months. Says The Fourth Kind, Dr. Sleep, and Grave Encounters. I don't think I've seen any of those. Daddy Ugarte said Ozempic Joe. Yeah, Fat Joe's not even fat anymore, right? God, that's right. What was the movie with Dustin Hoffman? It was about a virus that gets out. God, what was it called? Was it called Virus? I saw that many years ago. That was, I remember that being pretty good. God, what the hell was that movie called? Outbreak. Yes. Outbreak. Have I seen Slither? Oh man, I may have. Is Natasha Henstridge in that movie? Or am I thinking of a different one? I think I saw it. Yes, Outbreak. Yes, oh, I see. All the messages in the chat say Outbreak. Yes, Outbreak. It's a long time ago. Night of the Creeps. Are there any Blob fans here? Any fans of the Blob? Or the Blob 2? I think the Blob 2 is the one where the guy gets sucked down beneath the deck, the wooden deck. You're like, how's a body gonna fit through those little slats in the wood? And he's like, had like a ring on his finger, and then just the ring is left. That scene sticks out to me for some reason. Species. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Natasha Henstridge, man, back in the day. Oh my God. Oh. She was, people don't know why I like Ghost of Mars so much, because she was the lead in the movie. Ice Cube is also in that movie, I think. Jason Statham. That might have been one of his first movies. She was something else. Oh, that's Creepshow 2. What did I say? I said the Blob 2. Okay, I'm thinking of Creepshow 2. Creepshow. Thank you for bringing that up. Creepshow, one of my favorite movies. Love Creepshow, and I love Fluffy. If you saw Creepshow, you know who Fluffy is. Fluffy is my favorite story from Creepshow. Ah, yes. Creepshow 2, The Raft. Thank you. That scene still sticks out to me. The Crate. Fluffy was in the crate. So the Creepshow, again, Creepshow 2, a collection of different stories. I think about 5, maybe 5 stories. And The Crate is my favorite story from Creepshow. The one I stay away from is the one with the roaches. I can't watch that. I've never actually watched that one from beginning to end. Can't do it. Yeah, the one with the bugs. I can't do it. I refuse. The Fly is a classic. The Fly is a great movie. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum is great in The Fly. Tales of the Hood, yep. I saw Leprechaun in the Hood as well. Leprechaun in the Hood was a classic. Not necessarily for the right reasons, but yeah, Leslie Nielsen was a heel in the first story. It was the first story in Creepshow. Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson is in that one as well. Phil Dog says, anything with clowns, I won't watch. So you're not watching Dynamite with Jericho? Yeah, that's why I didn't see the first It. I never saw It. I guess I didn't have It. Well, let me ask you this. Do you consider Gremlins to be a horror movie? There's a question for all of you. Would you consider the Gremlins movies to be horror movies? I wouldn't survive an apartment in Detroit with roaches. Brother, I live in New York City. Where do you think I live? The area over here used to be like wetlands over here. So we get water bugs all the time. I just had one before. In the fucking bathroom. I'm about to come and do the stream. And I have a little box glue trap behind the toilet. Like straight down, right behind the toilet. That the exterminator put there last time. I didn't have anything there before. He's like, yeah, let me throw a box glue trap there. And I see something sticking out of it, this fucking monstrosity. I'm like, son of a bitch. So believe me, I'm well acquainted with bugs. I don't like bugs. Yes, and they fly. You know, Samantha, you don't have to tell me. I found out the hard way that they fucking fly. Believe me, I found that out years ago. You think they don't, but they do. Fright Night is also a favorite of mine, yes. Fright Night is a great movie. It's a great vampire movie. Great practical effects. And that's the thing about a lot of these movies from the 80s that I love. The use of practical effects. You don't get it as much anymore. I'm not saying nobody does it, or usually maybe it's a mix of that and CGI. And I'm not saying CGI is always garbage. I mean, CGI can be very effective, but you cannot replicate really great practical effects. I will always stand by that. That's what makes movies like The Fly and The Thing so great and so timeless and so disgusting. Like you're watching it and it's like, oh God, those are practical effects. The guy who did the effects in, it might have been The Thing and also in, God, what other movies did he do? But Rob Bottin, like he's a legend when it comes to that stuff. He was unbelievable with the practical effects and the gore. Can't replicate that with CGI, I'm sorry. Yuri says, so when are we getting the I'm a Solomonster guy shirts with you managing Jacob and Zilla Fatu? Hey, if they want me to be their wise man, I'm always here. I see Zilla every month. I used to see Jacob. Jacob was funny because when we had Jacob in House of Glory, and he was our champion for several months, every time like I'd be in the back if I was looking to talk to somebody or whatever, like he would see me and he would get like a big smile on his face. You know, we'd shake hands or whatever. And I saw him and Zilla actually. They were at the bar. What was it? When I was in Tampa for the Royal Rumble in January, they were there. There's like an outdoor giant bar not far from where the stadium was, Tropicana Field. And Jacob and Zilla were there together. But whenever I would see him at the Hog shows, he was always like the nicest guy. He had a big smile on his face. And one thing that will always annoy me is it might have been the last show he ever did for us. And I was in the back and he saw me. And I went over.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know.
Oh,
I think
shit.
You rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
We got a bomb incoming. And it is from Osakwe. Osakwe Vasquez with a $100 super chat. Oh, my goodness. I love it. He says, just stopping by to show some love. Could not agree more. Practical effects will always be better than CGI. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of people agree, but I don't know why we don't get more of it. I think just because it's easier for some people to just rely on the CGI. It's just kind of technology evolves and all that. I get it, but you are so right. You are 100% correct. Nothing can replicate the use of practical effects. Osakwe, man, thank you, man, for the $100 super chat bomb that he just dropped on my ass here on a Monday night, or I guess now it's a Tuesday morning. Osakwe, thank you, man. That is the big bomb of the night right there. But what I was going to mention here, just to finish that story, is I'm pretty sure it was the last time Jacob was at one of our shows, and he saw me in the locker room, and he said, and again, it was like he was in a good mood. It wasn't like he was confronting me about anything, but he was like, oh, I got to talk to you about something that you said or mentioned on your show about somebody. I probably wasn't even about him. And I was like, oh, I'm like, yeah. But it was like later. And then I never caught up with him later. And then we never got him back because he ended up going to WWE. So I will never know. I will never know what it was that he wanted to bring up to me. And it just annoys me every single day. So we will never know. But no, he was a good dude. And I'm really happy to see him having the success that he's having now. We all saw the talent in him. I mean, if you watched him in MLW and the Contra Unit stuff, I mean, you could tell, man, this guy is a superstar in the making. And now the entire world is getting to see it. Hey, Dan, thank you for the channel membership. 8 months. Thank you for getting me through work on a weekly basis for years now. Dan, happy to have you, brother. You're very welcome. Thank you for showing up here and supporting. I appreciate it. He probably wanted a contract with Hog now. Now, it was something from the show. It was something from the podcast, or I don't know, maybe something I said on a show or mentioned on a show about another wrestler or a friend of his or something. But again, it was like in a friendly way, and I was genuinely curious, like what it was about, and then I just never found out. Maybe one day we'll find out. I don't know. I'm sure he won't remember. Phil Dog, celebrating 22 months of membership. Thank you, Phil Dog. And everybody else, you guys are awesome. This has been, I should make a movie podcast. I should with all the movie talk here. Well, we got into this whole thing here unexpectedly at the end because of Halloween, and it kind of evolved into this really fun conversation. And I'm going to take some of the recommendations you guys have made for some of these movies you mentioned I have never seen. Always looking for like a good horror movie, especially ones with like a unique premise or something. And there's so many I haven't seen. There's another one, Demi Moore. I think it just came out this year. There's a movie that came out in 2024 with her in it that has been getting really good reviews. I think it's a horror movie. I want to watch that one too. I don't remember the name of it. I'm going to go see what it is. But Austin, I see you. I see you, brother. Thank you for the kind words. The Substance. Eminem, yes. It's called The Substance. Have any of you seen it? Because I've read some good things about it. It's kind of an interesting premise too. And I haven't heard Demi Moore's name mentioned in years. Since Striptease, probably. Or G.I. Jane. Pro Wrestling Fan 1995 channel member for 29 months. Been a fan since 2013. You really are my favorite wrestling podcast, bar none. Well, I appreciate that. That's over 10 years you've been listening to me. You haven't gone crazy yet, so that's a good sign. Thank you, brother. Cujo. Oh, man. Now we're getting into Stephen King. Drew says Cujo is a sad movie at heart. You know what's really sad? Let's not talk about the ending of The Mist, okay? Let's not get into that. We want to talk about sad. Power Spying Games Juice with Tupac and Omar Epps is a horror movie, in my opinion. Thomas, yes, that is the worst movie I've ever seen. That's the one I would not name the other night because I genuinely don't think anybody should see that movie, so I don't want to mention the name. It is terrible. It should never have been made, and I regret ever seeing any of it. So we're going to leave it at that. Phil Dog, Jeepers Creepers. I enjoyed that one. I didn't see the sequel. But the first one, right? Justin Long. I like Jeepers Creepers. Have I seen Midsummer? I have not. I have not seen Midsummer. Critters I saw, Tremors I saw, and Tremors 2. Since we're naming them all, I'm trying to think of any other ones I haven't mentioned here. I mean, obviously, Friday the 13th. I was never a Freddy guy, but I did see some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I've seen all the Halloween movies. God, who am I missing? Pinhead and Pinhead. I was not into that. I said Ash, Pinhead, even Leatherface. I wouldn't consider myself a Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. Blade, never saw that. Candyman, I saw the first Candyman. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Thanksgiving. That was a movie that came out last year. I saw Thanksgiving. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. JD said The Nun was great. Well, what the fuck does he know? Wrong Turn. Here's a movie I haven't heard about in a while. Scream. Oh my God, Joseph. Scream, of course. Shit, how did I forget that? Scream is one of my all-time favorite movies, the original Scream. Chucky. Yes. Child's Play. You know, that first Child's Play movie was genuinely disturbing before it just got into parody and comedy. Like that. And again, you could watch a movie like that and just have a fear of dolls after that, just like watching Jaws and be afraid of the ocean. But that first Chucky movie, like that first kill with the hammer, like still stands out to me. And then when she realizes that the doll has no batteries in it, like it's a genuinely disturbing movie. I wish it really didn't get away from that. Eight-legged freaks, not for me. I learned my lesson after Arachnophobia. Another movie I never should have watched. Although John Goodman, I'm a John Goodman fan. I like John Goodman. He was great on Roseanne. King Ralph, right? We can go. Obviously, The Dude, right? That movie. But not a spider guy. Cabin Fever. I saw Cabin Fever. Was Cabin Fever the one with Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World? I saw that one. Anaconda, I saw. What a ridiculous movie. Anaconda was ridiculous. Willard or Ben? No, haven't seen that. Snakes on a Plane, never saw. Pet Cemetery, saw that many, many years ago. Yuri says, me and my buddy just argued Jason versus Ghostface. LOL. Like them both, but was definitely Team Jason. Side note, love Chucky. Yeah, I was always a Jason guy. Not that I'm not now. I mean, I was always a Jason guy, but when I finally got around to seeing Halloween, I became a Michael guy. So I'm Halloween first now, Friday the 13th second.
Wooing!
Wooings! There's the Crypt Keeper. Leopoldo with the $14 super chat. My uncle in Mexico had a cockroach crawl in his ear. He was woken up by its wiggling in. He unknowingly scratched at it and shoved it in. Took 2 hours for the town doctor to get it out. Talk about horror. Oh my God. Just before bedtime, right? That's a great thing to tell me. That's great. That's wonderful. What's the name of the Alien movie with Robert Patrick? I don't know. What was the movie? It was I think a Stephen King movie, and it had Cat's Eye. It has James Woods in one of the story. Again, it's one of these movies that has different stories. I know James Woods is in one where he's trying to quit smoking. God, I haven't seen that movie in years. Cat's Eye is another one though that I used to watch. It would come on cable a lot, and I used to watch. I can't believe nobody's mentioned the. I guess it's not horror, I guess, but I don't know. Nobody's mentioned The Sixth Sense. It's a little surprising. There's one of our new rando super chats. Yuri, bugs trying to get in your ear are top heels. Oh, you don't got to tell me. I have been awoken. Even this summer, it happened a few times where I'm sleeping and I literally jump out of bed because there is a buzzing in my ear. And what happens is, like, mosquitoes will get in the apartment. I don't know how, but they get in. and they just bite the shit out of me when I'm sleeping. So I'll wake up, I'll have 8 bites all over my body, and then I'll, midday the next day, I'll see it on the wall, and I'll fucking squish it, and there's just like blood all over the wall. I'm like, that's my blood. But they buzz around the ear, and you get that like zzz, and it's the freakiest thing. Freaks me the fuck out. So what I did, you're gonna laugh at me, but no joke, I have a pair of earmuffs that I might occasionally use in the wintertime, and I would put them on and go to sleep. So because of these fucking mosquitoes, I have to sleep with earmuffs on my ears. In the middle of the summer, when it's 80 degrees outside, and I'm laying in bed with earmuffs on my head. I fucking hate bugs. "28 days later." What if we got a Scream Halloween crossover? Says the Mount Vernon Kid. I don't know. I mean, I had fun with Jason versus Freddy. Like, that was a fun movie to watch, like in the theater. But I this whole crossover stuff, I don't know. I don't know if we need that. Get a bug zapper. I have one. It's not really a zapper, though. It's not a zapper. Zappers are for outdoors. The one I have, it doesn't have any chemicals or anything like that. It literally, there's a fan inside of it, and it's got like an ultraviolet light to attract them, and then it just sucks them in, and there's a glue pad on the bottom. You should see what this glue pad, I just checked it last week. This glue pad on the bottom, I hadn't changed it in like 2 months. I mean, dude, it was so gross. And it's like, it's in my bedroom. I'm like, you would think it'd be like from outside. I'm like, it's in my bedroom. Oh my God. Anyway, Randall the Sandal, I'm glad you had fun here with the stream. Thank you, brother. Project Libertad says, I'm a huge Hellraiser fan and always wondered why Pinhead is not the same or in the same ranks as Freddy, Michael, and Jason. Then I had a Hellraiser marathon, ended it in Hellverse, and went, oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, I just could never get into it. Yuri says, you and I are from the same landmass, Solo. I don't use earmuffs, but I definitely pulled blankets over my... Blankets are not enough, dude. I would wear headphones, but the headphones I have are too heavy on my ears. I can't leave them on my ears for more than like an hour. So at least these are soft, It's just, it's so unnerving, and it wakes me up, and I'm like, I can't, I gotta sleep. So you put them on. It works. I don't know what it is about the ears, man. They want to get in those little ear canals. They want to burrow into your brain. I mean, I guess of all the different orifices on your body, I guess I'd rather them go in there than some other place. Mr. Awesome, you missed the discussion from 5 minutes ago. You got plenty of Chucky fans in here. I saw the Joker. I did not see Joker 2. I honestly had no interest in seeing Joker 2 when the trailer dropped. I know everybody now is saying it's fucking dog shit. It's just getting completely like review bombed. I just watched the trailer and I'm like, this doesn't look interesting to me. And then I heard the movie sucked, and now I have no interest in seeing it at all. Imagine a surgery just to get a bug out of your ear or your head. You'd be surprised. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens more than you know. Beetlejuice 2 was mid. I enjoyed it. It wasn't great. It wasn't the original. But I mean, it was fine. Believe me, I've seen worse sequels than that. People I was in the theater with, they enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It wasn't great. I thought it was good. No, I didn't see Venom. I didn't see the Venom movies. The last time I saw Venom in the movies was Spider-Man 3, and I was very upset because he only had like 10 minutes of screen time. Hey, Retro says, nothing scarier than a rat falling from the ceiling and landing on you. It happened to me at work once. Ugh. You ever see those videos of the people who fall asleep on the subway? And there's a rat that ends up on that train car and it just scurries up the person's leg. Yeah. Glad I don't ride the train anymore. Oh, what's that? Oh gosh, there's another. I said I kind of enjoy horror movies that come at it from a different, like, unique perspective. I'll mention these two, and then we'll wrap. I didn't realize we got 3 hours here, so we can go all night talking about this. But there was a movie I saw many years ago, and it was very interesting. It was done documentary style, and it was called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. If you've never heard of it, check that movie out. I think you would enjoy it. That was kind of a unique spin on a horror movie. But there was a movie that came out in like this year or last year, and I haven't seen it. And I think it's from the perspective of the killer. What is that movie called? It's like from the killer's perspective. That sounds kind of interesting to me. Ian Noel Camelotes dropping in with a $32 Judgment Day super chat. Of course, the Judgment Day interrupts. Have you seen the Phantasm series, a sequel in different decades with the same main cast? If so, your thoughts on Mark Calloway playing the Tall Man. I've not seen the Phantasm series. I actually have not seen that. So I cannot comment on it. In a Violent Nature, that's what it's called. Yes, I'm going to have to check that one out. If I watch it, I'll let you guys know what I think. In a Violent Nature. If you saw it, let me know what you thought. If it's worth it. Otherwise, I won't waste my time. A Judgment Day interruption at 2 a.m. I know. Hey, Bliss fan. Bliss fan, of all the nights, I don't think Bliss fan was with us earlier, and we had Alexa Bliss as the thumbnail in Be the Booker, and I don't think Bliss fan was with us. How did that happen? You wanted to know if I was going to do a Halloween stream. This is the Halloween stream. You got it tonight. You got it tonight. Honestly, all this discussion was far more interesting to me than a lot of what I saw on Raw tonight, so. Hopefully I will not be saying that on Wednesday when we watch Dynamite. Yuri says, pancakes, waffles, or French toast. I'm a pancake guy. I got nothing against waffles. I used to love Eggo waffles, but I'm a pancake guy. Put that on a shirt. Hey, Justin with the $7. I figure a lucky sperm deserves to be here somehow. Yes, Kevin Nash is indeed a lucky sperm. Candyman, they made Bird Box where I'm from, but sorry, I hated it despite that. Yeah, I didn't see Bird Box. I saw Candyman. Yes, I saw the first Candyman. It was okay. Not a huge fan. Yeah, Mike says this week is the first week in a while where he's really looking forward to Dynamite. They've loaded it up with some matches. I mentioned Swerve and Shelton, I think, is going to be pretty badass. I'm looking forward to that. We might see Bobby Lashley this week. This might be the week that he makes his debut. We'll find out. That's the next time I'm going to be live with you guys. I hope you guys will come back and join me. We'll have another Halloween stream, I guess, on Wednesday. That's going to be the day before Halloween. And yeah, I you know what I can't believe? Nobody mentioned Friday the 13th, Part 9. where they're eating the heart. They're eating Jason's heart and becoming Jason. How ridiculous that movie was.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. I hated that. Fuck that tree. Matt says, what would your reaction be if Jericho wins the world title on AEW? Oh, you all would love my reaction if you won the world title again on Dynamite. That might be the end of the Dynamite reviews, but then again, I probably would have my best content. And West Coast James, Final Destination. They're working on a new one. How many did they do? They did a whole bunch of them. And yet, Part 9 is still better than the Friday reboot. The third one is still my favorite. That's the one where he gets the hockey mask. Of all the Friday the 13th movies, third one is my favorite one. Oh, man. You guys are too much. All right, I'm going to let you go. It's late. It's late. I had fun, though. Thank you for hanging out with me. All you guys, all the super chats. Osakoi, thank you, man, for that $100 bomb. I appreciate that very much. Don't be a stranger. We'll be back on Wednesday night, live. Fright Night Dynamite. We'll talk all about it. And then we have SmackDown on Friday. We'll round out the week as we always do. So go back and check out episode 885 of The Sound Off that went up on Sunday, covering a whole bunch of different things. And I'll see you back here on Wednesday night for the Dynamite stream. Hopefully that won't be a horror show. But if it is, we'll talk about it. I'll see you guys there. Until then, take care, guys.
Why is Solomonster a punk hater? Why does he hate Punk so much? What did he ever do to him?
Oh, Leopoldo. Leopoldo. How to get that in there. Oh, boy. $44 CM Punk Super Chat. I turned 44 today, and I'm sending $44 to you for getting me to dump my adult Friend Finder membership and join yours. My girlfriend and I tried thrupling on there, and I still say yours is the better choice. She just fell asleep. That is one of the most incredible super chats that I have gotten in a very long time. I'm trying to unpack this right now as I'm reading it. But Leopoldo, happy birthday, brother. Happy 44th. Here's the 44 more. And I am very happy to have you as a member. It might not be Adult Friend Finder, but we're all adults here. Well, most of us are adults. I don't know where Rumpelmane is, but anyway, Leopoldo, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Even though we had a break into the ending here. Thank you, brother. Have a good night.